Chapter 276. Go back. The benefits that the old sect leader left behind are not many. I will give you one last helping hand. You can get as much as you want. You have a long way to go in the future. I hope that the old sect leader didn't choose the wrong person. One day you can lead the Tian Yao school to make a comeback and prosper in the world. These words resounded in Su Yi's ears. Immediately, the light around Su Yi fluctuated. The light in front of him flickered, and the space around him squirmed. The scene in front of him changed again. Su Yi returned to the cave with a little surprise and landed on the futon. Walala, in the cave, the mysterious and strange energy swarmed in again. It was full of flowing lights and colorful lights. It gathered toward Su Yi and poured into Su Yi's body. It was incomparably mysterious. Su Yi could clearly feel that the strange and mysterious energy was more dense and surging than before. It was surging to the point of surging. The energy actively rushed into Su Yi's body. Compared to the energy that Su Yi had absorbed before, it was surging by many times. This is a great benefit. I can't miss it. Feeling the surging energy, coupled with the fact that the energy was beneficial to the soul, Su Yi sat cross-legged again. He operated the Origin Supreme technique and continued to absorb the strange energy to refine his soul and cleanse his body. Su is back. What happened just now? Su Yi had disappeared for a long time. However, in the cave, for Shangguan Yu, Shangguan Rock, and the others, it was as if Su Yi had just disappeared into the space crack. It was very strange. Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Xiu, and the others looked at each other in confusion. The energy in here is much denser. What happened? In the entire heavenly monster cave, the mysterious and strange energy was surging. Shangguan Chunfeng and the others also felt this amazing change. At this moment, this mysterious and peculiar energy was so dense that it was actively drilling into their bodies. Hurry up and cultivate. Don't miss it. Soon, Shangguan Chunfeng, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others also sat cross-legged on the praying mats and continued to cultivate. Update W new. S fastest. W up, / in the entire cave, the energy around Su Yi's body was still the most turbulent, reaching a berserk state. That strange energy whizzed and formed a huge tornado around Su Yi, spinning crazily. Time passed slowly, but for the spirit ancient village, the wild bear tribe, and the tribe of tiger hunters, these 2 days felt like years. Some experts led the villagers to the entrance and waited for the enemy. Who is our great enemy? No one knew who the enemy was. For the people of the tribe of tiger hunters, the wild bear tribe, and the spirit ancient village, all of them had stood aloof from worldly affairs since birth. Although there were occasional disputes between the spirit ancient village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe, they were just small skirmishes. However, these were all small disputes, mostly due to the competition between the younger generation. The sudden arrival of a great enemy caused them to be at a loss for what to do. We are the descendants of the Tian Yao school. Our ancestors said that there will be a great enemy. Once they come, it will be a bloody battle. An old man said with a solemn expression. If there really is a great enemy, we can leave in advance. When the great enemy leaves, we can come back. Someone said. If it was a great enemy, they could leave first. No, we can't leave. The old patriarch of the wild bear tribe said. He looked old, but his face was ruddy. His strong body was like an old bear, but his expression was very serious. He said, We can only let the young people go. Those great enemies may be stronger than we imagined. If we all leave, they will not give up. At that time, the last bloodline of the Tian Yao school will be lost. Just how powerful are those great enemies? Hearing this, the people of the wild bear tribe were shocked. How strong were those great enemies? Another evening, when the sunset glow on the distant mountain range faded away, the world was covered in a silvery gray color. The last strand of sunset glow and the gray evening mist blended together, making this ancient land faintly discernible. It drifted about, creating a rather strange atmosphere. The great enemy has arrived. Prepare for a bloody battle. Suddenly, from the top of the Yao Luo mountain, a ray of light shot into the sky and filled the void, illuminating the ancient land. The great enemy is here. Where are they? In the tribe of tiger hunters, the spirit ancient village, and the wild bear tribe, people who had been waiting nervously looked up, but they did not find any trace of the enemy. But soon, some strong people had sensed it. Above the sky, a terrifying aura surged, and a ray of light descended from the void. It was as if someone had torn a hole in the sky. The light filled the air, as if it had descended from the ninth heaven. The scene was horrifying. The remnants of the Tian Yao school must not be allowed to live. The sound was like thunder shaking the void. In the void of the torn sky, suddenly, many figures descended. Their bodies were filled with dazzling light, and their auras were vast and murderous. The brilliance was like a divine halo. Kill all the remnants of the Tian Yao school. The sound shook the sky, and the void was penetrated by the light. The roar of a beast was like thunder, and a huge shadow of a beast appeared. Its aura was frightening. Some strong people were like thunder, and their auras were vast and mighty. Soon, this ancient land was suddenly filled with dazzling light, and dark clouds gathered. Chi-La, a ray of light fell, like lightning and thunder, dazzling and filled with murderous intent. It was unknown whether it was the light of a sword or a blade, but its power was strong. It cut off the mountains and split the abyss, and fell among the wild bear tribe. The great enemy has arrived. Bloody battle. In the wild bear tribe, the old chief rushed out and resisted the light. But the shocking wind swept through, and several people of the wild bear tribe were killed. Many places collapsed into ruins. Bloody battle. In the spirit ancient village, in the tribe of tiger hunters, many figures rushed into the sky, shining with dazzling light. The village chief, Shangguan Qingyao, had changed. His body was no longer bent, and the light on his body was dazzling. Fight! Shangguan Qingming shouted. His hair and robe were fluttering, and he rushed into the void with a sword in his hand, and slashed at the enemies. Kill! There are still so many of them. From the void, many figures rushed out. They were all strong people, and the light on their bodies was so dazzling that it was difficult to see their faces clearly. Kill! Many powerful barbaric beasts appeared. Ferocious birds flew into the sky, and ferocious beasts covered the sky. They fell toward this ancient land, and their murderous intent surged. In an instant, this ancient land was vast and mighty. Dark clouds rolled, lightning flashed, and thunder rumbled. The sky changed color, and it was shocking. Kill! The enemies were ruthless. They landed in the wild bear tribe, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the spirit ancient village, and started a massacre. In fact, the great battle in the void had already erupted in an even more shocking manner. In the spirit ancient village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe, there were many strong people, but they were immediately stopped by the great enemy. Chapter 277. These people who stood aloof from worldly affairs had never left this place since they were born. Some of them had strong cultivations, but they had never fought in such a bloody manner. Especially those who were not strong enough, they were no match for these strong enemies. Kill! Fight to the death! The blood of their clansmen pierced the hearts of the experts from Spirit Ancient Village, Wild Bear Tribe, and Tribe of Tiger Hunters. It drove away their panic and aroused their bloodlust. When the enemy came, they could only fight to the death. The roar of the beasts was shocking. On Demon Mountain, a group of beasts suddenly roared, and a large number of barbaric beasts rushed out. Boom! An ancient flood dragon flew across the sky, its body was covered in lightning, and its fierce eyes were like torches. Roar! A lion roared, its body was shining brightly, and its aura was vast and mighty. Eugenra knew fastest. Oh up carat V, the aura of the lion and the flood dragon had reached the demon emperor realm. Moreover, they were not ordinary demon emperors. They were extremely powerful. They rushed out and led the barbaric demonic beasts on the demon Luo mountain to fight against their enemies. It's the lion emperor and the flood dragon emperor from Demon Mountain. They are here to help us. The experts from Spirit Ancient Village, tribe of tiger hunters, and wild bear tribe were overjoyed. It was the flood dragon emperor and the lion emperor from Demon Mountain. They were here to help them. In the heavenly monster cave, the surging energy waves made the 8 figures on the 8 futons ripple with bright light, and their auras rose rapidly. Su Yi's aura also rose at an unbelievable speed. Bang! A muffled sound came from the Sea of Vitality whirlpool, and a new aura spread out. A large amount of energy from the surroundings rushed into Su Yi's body. Time's up. The enemy is here. When the voice fell into the 8 people's ears, the entire heavenly monster cave rumbled and trembled. The stone statues cracked and shattered, and huge rocks fell. Su Yi stopped cultivating and stood up with Shangguan Chunfeng and the others. Their faces changed. Inside the heavenly monster cave, a bright light shone and shook. Then, a huge force spread out. Together with the light, it enveloped the 8 people. Su Yi and the others were unable to control themselves. Their bodies were swallowed up in shock. When the 8 figures appeared in the next instant, they had already landed at the foot of the mountain. The surroundings were vast and mighty, with lightning flashing and thunder rumbling. The light was dazzling, but it was also covered by dark clouds. The roars of beasts were like thunder, and the battle was intense. What happened? Shangguan Chunfeng, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others were shocked. They had never seen such a great battle before. The sky and the ground were filled with blood, and the enemies were extremely powerful. Familiar experts were constantly falling from the sky and spurting out blood. There are more enemies than I expected. I don't have the strength to send you away. Don't move around here. I hope I can protect you. As the familiar voice rang out, a beam of light silently landed around the 8 cultivators. Immediately, the space around them distorted. The space around them seemed to have disappeared. The outside world could not sense it, but the 8 cultivators could see everything outside. Boom! This light shrouded the ancient void. Suddenly, a resplendent light shone from above. Qi-La, the light was dazzling. It was as if a huge and sharp claw had reached out of the void from the heaven and earth. Monstrous demonic aura filled the air. It was like a demonic claw. Wherever it passed, clear cracks in the void could be seen collapsing. The claw enveloped several giant beasts and several experts at the light level, killing them in an instant and turning them into blood mist. Such a powerful attack shocked everyone present. Some people sucked in a breath of cold air, their hearts trembling. Just the terrifying aura alone was enough to make the heaven and earth tremble. I didn't expect that you're still alive. In the sky, it was as if there were stars falling from the sky. A huge shadow of a giant tiger appeared, becoming more and more solid. Under the tiger's covetous gaze, its eyes were like 2 bright moons hanging in the void. It was incomparably terrifying. You were actually hiding here. You guys have been struggling at death's door for so long. An old figure appeared in the void, and his voice resounded through the void. Not far away, at the end of the sky, there was a huge ferocious bird spreading its wings. It covered the sky like dark clouds. Its bright eyes were like 2 blood moons, staring at the place from the end of the sky like a tiger watching its prey. There were also powerful figures looming above the void. Their auras were fierce, as if they were watching something. There was a figure surrounded by rippling sword light. His whole body was like a divine sword in the sky. He stopped in the depths of the void and stared at this ancient land. What will come sooner or later. Not too many have come. It's a pity that the schoolmaster is no longer here. If the schoolmaster was still here, I'm afraid that you wouldn't dare to come here even if you had 10 times the courage. A faint voice sounded. An old tiger shadow appeared in the void. It was past its prime, and the light on its body was dim. However, the tiger's body was high in the sky, as if it had merged with the heaven and earth. It made people tremble for no reason. Demon Lord, that's the legendary Demon Lord. An old man raised his eyes, trembling, and looked at the old tiger. It was the legendary Demon Lord who had always protected them. You're past your prime. Do you still dare to be brave? The remnants of the Tian Yao school should be killed. The old figure in the sky spoke. Suddenly, it emitted a monstrous, killing intent. The figure was not big, but a palm slapped toward the old tiger's shadow. In an instant, the palm print expanded. It was as if a cloud of lightning had condensed and filled the air with mist. Come on, there will be a battle. Instead of sitting here and waiting for death, it's better to burn in the battle. Let's see how far you've come. As the old tiger's voice sounded, the dim light on its body suddenly became dazzling. There was a ray of light that illuminated the ancient land. The tiger's eyes were bright, like a sea of fire that suddenly rose and fell. It was burning fiercely, emitting a monstrous demonic aura. It waved its claws, and in an instant it became very large. It was much larger than the palm print that covered the void. Wherever it passed, it could drown the void. It suddenly collided with the palm print. Buzz, this collision was like two meteorites colliding in the sky. Heaven and earth trembled, and the mountains below exploded. The people below were shocked. This power was too great. Fortunately, this battle was in the void. If it were closer, it would be enough to destroy everything. The strength of such a master was beyond their imagination. Don't be arrogant. The big tiger roared and also attacked. It also slapped its claws toward the demon Venerable. Humph! The demon Venerable snorted coldly. A mysterious object was spat out from its mouth. It burst out a bright light like a divine halo. With the rumbling sound of wind and thunder, it actually blocked the big tiger's claws. Demon Venerable, you've reached the end. Hand over the last thing left by the Tian Yao school, and I'll do my best to protect a part of your Tian Yao school's bloodline to enter the Holy Mountain. Consider it as leaving a little immortal bloodline for your Tian Yao school. What do you think? Suddenly, above the void, the figure shrouded in sword light like a divine sword opened its mouth and asked the demon Venerable. The Holy Mountain, that's someone from the Holy Mountain. Within the light circle, Su-Yi suddenly trembled when he heard the words, Holy Mountain. Chapter 278. Su-Yi was shocked. That man was from the Holy Mountain. From what he had seen, this was the arrival of the Tian Yao school's great enemy. Could it be that the Holy Mountain was also a great enemy of the Tian Yao school? The Holy Mountain is not a good thing. You just want to get what was left by the Tian Yao school. Why do you have to make it sound so dignified? The demon Venerable shouted. Hearing this, the man from the Holy Mountain radiated light. His breath was majestic, but there was not much fluctuation. His voice came out of the void and said, In that case, let's see who has the opportunity to get it today. Does the Holy Mountain also want to get involved? Then I'll join in the fun. In the distance, there were looming figures with powerful breaths. All students of the Tian Yao school, remember, today's great enemies all carry the blood of the Tian Yao school. You will fight your way out. If you are lucky enough to leave today, don't let any of you go. A debt of blood must be paid with blood. The demon Venerable's tiger eyes glowed. His voice was particularly clear and deafening as it fell into Su-Yi's ears. Q6 new / fastest up you. It made Su-Yi feel that the demon Venerable's words were mainly directed at him. You have reached the end. Today, none of the survivors of the Tian Yao school will escape. The old figure exuding a monstrous murderous intent said. His murderous intent grew stronger. Then let's fight. The demon Venerable shouted. His roar shook the sky. Wisps of demonic aura rippled out from his body. His breath began to break out, surging, and sweeping across the sky in an instant. Is this the final radiance of the setting sun? This is just the brilliance before death. Come on. The old figure rushed out first with a murderous intent. His murderous intent swept across the sky and rushed toward the demon venerable. Kill! The fierce big tiger shouted. Its huge body immediately tore through the void with its claws, trying to grab the demon venerable. Boom! Almost at the same time, the powerful figures in the void immediately appeared. The divine sword figure from the sacred mountain, the powerful figure looming in the void, and the huge ferocious bird in the distance all rushed towards the demon venerable at the same time. These experts also wanted to obtain what was left in the courtyard. They did not want the demon venerable to fall into the hands of the big tiger and the old figure who had taken the lead. A great battle broke out in an instant, causing the firmament to shake. Resplendent rays of light shone in the sky as dark clouds pressed down, illuminating the night sky of this ancient world, as if it was the end of the world. Come on, let's fight. Facing the siege of so many super experts, the demon venerable did not show any fear in his eyes. Instead, there was a surging desire for battle as he rushed into the sky. The demon venerable wanted to fight far away from the ground. He was afraid that such an amazing battle would destroy the earth below and destroy the bloodline of the Tian Yao school. Swish, swish, the people from the sacred mountain made their move. Beams of light were emitted from their bodies, which turned into dazzling sword lights. They cut through the void and shot up into the sky, slashing at the demon venerable. The big tiger was glaring at them covetously. Its eyes were like blood moons and its claws were like hooks. One by one, the super experts made their moves and fought in the sky. Terrible energy swept across the vast expanse, as if countless stars were falling and colliding. Thunderclouds covered the sky, and the light was violent. It was extremely fierce and terrifying, as if the world was about to be destroyed. It could be seen that the demon venerable was in a bad situation. He was past his prime and had reached the end of his life. Soon, he was suppressed. Lord Demon Venerable! On the ground, the experts of the Spirit Ancient Village, the Wild Bear Tribe, and the tribe of Tiger Hunters cried out sorrowfully. The Demon Venerable was fighting against so many super experts by himself, but none of them had the strength to intervene. They did not even dare to get close to him. The level of such a great battle was simply not something they could handle. Demon Venerable! Inside the light shield, Su-Yi looked up at the figures in the sky. His eyes were a little red. Although they had not known each other for long, and they had not even spoken a few words, Su-Yi knew that the Demon Venerable was a powerhouse who had sacrificed his life for the Tian Yao school. At the end of his life, he was still protecting the Tian Yao school. Those so-called powerhouses, including the one from the Holy Mountain, were all high-sounding and dignified. But at this moment, they were ganging up on the Demon Venerable. What they really wanted was the treasures left by the Tian Yao school on the Demon Venerable. Kill. Leave no one alive. Soon, the enemies that had descended from the sky began to slaughter them once again. Start to break out of the encirclement. Listen to the Demon Venerable. Leave as many as you can. Some experts of the Spirit Ancient Village, the Wild Bear Tribe, and the tribe of Tiger Hunters spoke. Some powerhouses organized and led people to break out of the encirclement. Everyone knew that today's enemies were too strong. In addition to the young people who had been sent away, they listened to the Demon Venerable. If one more person could leave today, it would be a glimmer of hope for the Tian Yao school. Don't even think about escaping. Some powerful enemies had already rushed down. They were too strong. They began to massacre everywhere. Not many people could stop these powerful enemies. Fight. The elders of the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of Tiger Hunters, and the Wild Bear Tribe rushed out with all their strength. Such a bloody battle was tragic in an instant. Immediately, the elders of the Spirit Ancient Village, the Wild Bear Tribe, and the tribe of tiger hunters were seriously injured. Some elders fell down. Some elders were killed. Elders! The villagers cried out in grief. These powerhouses were all killed in order to protect them. They blocked the powerful enemies with their own bodies. Elders! In the spirit ancient village, powerhouses kept falling down and getting injured. In the light shield, Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Chunfeng, and the others saw it with their own eyes. They all wanted to rush out of the light shield. However, everything in the light shield was imprisoned. No one could get out. They were all bounced back. No, Su-Yi swung his fist, trying to shatter the light shield. Su-Yi was very familiar with the many figures falling from the sky. They were all familiar faces that cared for him. Now that they were falling in front of him, they were most likely dead. Bang bang, Su-Yi used all his strength. His body was already at the first level of Origin Spirit Realm. However, he could not break the light shield. He was bounced back by a force. Kill! In the sky, Elder Shangguan Qingming of the Spirit Ancient Village shouted. His figure swept into the sky, leading a group of Spirit Ancient Village villagers to kill their way out. However, there was a powerful enemy blocking him. With a palm strike, Shangguan Qingming was sent flying, vomiting blood. Father! Shangguan Rock saw his father falling from the sky. His eyes were blood-red. He tried his best to rush out, but he could not break the light shield. He was bounced back. In the sky above the wild bear tribe, a powerful enemy appeared. He had a divine weapon in his hand. Light swept out, and several wild bear tribe elders could not withstand a single blow. They were all killed. Kill! The wild bear tribe's old patriarch appeared. His eyes were like lightning, like a raging bear that had gone berserk. He swung out a long staff-like weapon in his hand. It was dazzling and carried a beastly roar. That powerful enemy was very strong. His aura soared to the sky. He was incomparably terrifying. He sneered as he clashed with the divine weapons, shaking the mountains. Chapter 279. I didn't expect that there are still survivors of this level. I can't let them live. Soon, a few powerful enemies appeared and surrounded the old patriarch of the wild bear tribe. First attack G% in the air, there were intense battles everywhere. The situation on the ground was even more tragic. The villagers of the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe were all being massacred. These people who were still unable to fly were not strong and were not a match for him. They had almost no power to resist. In the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe, some elders brought some weak people and tried to break out of the encirclement. Die. A great enemy caught up, killing intent surging, killing him in midair, blasting him into a bloody mist. In the Spirit Ancient Village, Elder Shangguan Qingming was injured and fell. He gritted his teeth and took the opportunity to bring a few weak people of the Spirit Ancient Village to escape. If they wanted to break out of the encirclement in this kind of bloody battle, it would be better if they could escape. Dream on. There was a powerful enemy blocking them. It was a black-haired old man with a scimitar in his hand. The scimitar broke through the air and his aura shook the void. With lightning speed, the scimitar swept out from Elder Shangguan Qingming's chest. The scimitar exploded. Swish, Elder Shangguan Qingming's chest spurted out blood. His blood-red eyes were filled with unwillingness. However, the scimitar burst out from his body and his body exploded. Die, the old man didn't stop. He swept his scimitar across and streaks of scimitar broke through the air. The few villagers of the Spirit Ancient Village, who were brought to the air by Elder Shangguan Qingming, were chopped into pieces. Father! In the light shield, Shangguan Rock cried out in grief. His vision almost turned black as he watched his father being killed in the air. Elder Qingming, Auntie! Su-Yi's eyes were bloodshot as well. Among the bodies that were chopped into pieces, they were all familiar faces. There was Elder Shangguan Qingming who had brought him in, and there were also the aunties who had made him new clothes. Familiar faces appeared before his eyes. Let me out, let me out! Shangguan Rock was heartbroken. He tried his best to break out of the light shield, but he couldn't do anything. You've gone too far. You'll have to pay with your life. The village chief, Shangguan Chengyao, appeared in front of the old man with the scimitar. His eyes were filled with blood-red anger, and he was aggressive. He held the sword in his hand tightly, and the sword radiance swept out like a tide. Impressive, the old man with the scimitar sneered. His scimitar was as fast as lightning, and he immediately fought with Shangguan Cheng. On the ground there were people being killed one after another. Miserable cries rang out incessantly as blood flowed like a river. Everywhere was dyed red by blood. Look for it quickly. Is there anything left by Tianyao School? In the ancient spirit village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe, there was a bloodbath. Immediately after, they rushed to different places, as if they were searching for something. All of you are so heartless and treat human lives like grass. Sooner or later, all of you will be punished by the heavens. There was an old man who was seriously injured and fell to the ground, unable to move. He glared at these powerful enemies and shouted, his eyes red and swollen. Aunt! These people were cold and merciless. They trampled on the bodies of these old people, causing them to explode. Check again. Kill them all. Some figures landed on the ground and scanned the area with their auras. Those who were still alive were immediately killed by their auras. Elder! Father! Mother! Miserable cries and sorrowful shouts could be heard everywhere. Everyone's eyes were red. Seeing their family members being killed one by one in front of them, the remaining people were filled with sorrow. These powerful enemies were too strong. There was no way to stop them. We're back. Kill them! Suddenly, at the entrance of this ancient world, several flying demonic beasts appeared. Loud shouts could be heard, and many young figures appeared on top of them. On these flying demonic beasts were Xiongzhan, Xiong Hu Qi, Hu Ming, and Hu Mo of the tribe of tiger hunters. They were all outstanding figures of the younger generation. Why did you come back? Leave quickly! An old man shouted, his eyes filled with sorrow. He thought that the hope of these clans had left. Even if they died, their bloodline would continue. He did not expect that these young people would come back. We were born here. This is our home. How can we leave? Leave. If we leave, they will regret it for the rest of their lives. How can we abandon our loved ones? Hu Qi, Xiongzhan, Hu Ming, Xiong Lai, and the other young people responded. They were halfway there and insisted on coming back. They only asked the younger ones to leave. You should have left, an old man shouted. These powerful enemies were too strong. What could these young people do even if they came back? However, hearing these young people's words, there was a kind of gratification in their eyes. If they were young, they would not have left. So there are still so many of you who escaped and came back to die. The heavens want you to die. A powerful ferocious beast appeared. It opened its bloody mouth, as if it was going to swallow the sky. It directly enveloped the returning youth. Hu Ming, Hu Mo, Xiongzhan, and the others wanted to advance and retreat with their clansmen, but they had no idea how powerful these great enemies were. Returning would only be sending them to their death. They were still too weak. Evil beast, I'll kill you! The great elder of the wild bear tribe rushed out. The aura on his body burned as he activated the savage scripture. An ancient aura surged and collided with the beast. Bang! Bang! However, the beast was only pushed back. The great elder's arm was torn off by the beast's claw. Blood poured out. The collision was shockingly powerful. The flying mounts under Hu Qi, Xiongzhan, and the others were sent flying. Xiongzhan and the others were also swaying. In the end, they fell with their flying mounts and landed heavily on the ground. You overestimate yourself. Die. The beast's fierce eyes were terrifying. Its aura surged, and the surrounding void surged. It swung its claws down. In just 2 moves, the Great Elder was directly swallowed into its bloody mouth. Dark red blood flowed out from the gaps of its fangs. It was ferocious. Great Elder! Xiongzhan, Xiong and the others cried out. They had never thought that these great enemies were so powerful. They were the ones who killed the Great Elder. Whoosh in the void, a lightning-like radiance broke through the void and pierced through Shangguan Qingyao's shoulder. A bloody hole appeared and blood splashed out. Shangguan Qingyao was bleeding. Her face was pale as her body staggered in the void. A great enemy appeared quietly. It was a middle-aged man with a resplendent spear. He and the old man with the curved blade surrounded the village chief, Shangguan Qing. "Grandma!" Shangguan Shiwei cried out in alarm. Her delicate face was pale and her delicate body was trembling. She slapped the light barrier but was powerless. She couldn't get out. "Grandma Shangguan!" Su Yi's eyes were bloodshot. Familiar figures were killed one after another in the void. Familiar faces turned into a rain of blood. These people were cruel and merciless. They were all demons. Although it hadn't been long since he arrived here, Su Yi had already treated this place as his second home. Those familiar faces turned into a bloody mist. They had been standing aloof from worldly affairs all their lives, but they were brutally massacred by these people. Chapter 280. Su Yi was filled with hatred. Blue veins popped out on his face. He hated himself for not being strong enough. He could only watch as the people around him fell into a pool of blood. Boom! Suddenly, there was a movement in Su Yi's mind. The mysterious ball of light in his mind seemed to be attracted by something. It suddenly trembled, and light suddenly spread out. Suddenly, a terrifying and violent aura spread out from Su Yi's body. It was as if a peerless beast was awakening. Su Yi's blood-red eyes quietly turned crimson, as if they were rippling with crimson flames. Bang, bang, bang! The massacre continued. At this moment, the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe were no longer separated from each other. Some elders rushed out and rushed to the side of the returning youths. They wanted to protect them. However, these elders couldn't even take care of themselves. They couldn't protect them at all. They kept dying. Elders! Hu Qi, Hu Ming, Xiongzhan, and the other youths cried out in grief. It was because of them that these elders were killed mercilessly. They didn't even have the strength to rush up and fight. Helplessness, anger, grief, and heart-wrenching pain. Roar! Not far away, a barbaric demon beast pounced down and was about to swallow a few members of the tribe of tiger hunters. "I'll fight it out with you!" Hu Ming roared. His eyes were red as he rushed out. And the barbaric demon beast spoke in human language. It didn't put Hu Ming in its eyes at all. With a swipe of its claws, the ground cracked. Swish! Some elders wanted to help, but they couldn't get away. Hu Ming was swept away and his body was torn into pieces. A few youths around were affected by the powerful aura. They were sent flying and vomited blood. The members of the tribe of tiger hunters were also swallowed into the barbaric demon beast's mouth. His aura continued to rise, and the veins on Su Yi's body began to bulge. His red eyes gradually covered his entire pupils, and the aura that erupted from his body was like an erupting volcano, revealing a kind of majesty and destruction. When this aura spread out, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others who were crying out in grief also felt it and were shocked. "It's that aura. It's powerful, very powerful." Su Yi felt it. It was the familiar mysterious energy that came from the mysterious ball of light. That day, when he was pursued by the Black Fiend Sect's guardian by Jiu, it was precisely this mysterious force that allowed him to escape. Su Yi was pleasantly surprised by this mysterious power. It was as if he had seen light in the darkness, as if he had seen a life-saving straw when he was drowning. "It's not enough. I want to be stronger." This mysterious power emanated from the mysterious ball of light and surged into Su Yi's body, causing his body to tremble and swell as if his body was about to explode. Break! With a loud shout, Su Yi's eyes turned red. His aura was suppressed to the extreme. Red light surged in his eyes as he punched the light shield. Light covered his fist. The aura was violent and scorching. It was full of destruction. Bang! A gale of energy exploded. The light shield was dazzling. Cracks appeared on it and it shattered. Although Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Chunfeng, and the others were shocked, they were more worried about the bloody battle in front of them. When the light barrier was destroyed, one figure after another immediately dashed out. Shangguan Chunfeng, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yi, and the others knew that they were no match for the old man. But even if they knew they were no match for him, they couldn't watch their loved ones turn into a bloody mist and fall into a pool of blood. Bang! In the air, Shangguan Qingya staggered. She was seriously injured again. She spat out blood and her face was as pale as ash. Tian Yao School's remnants die. The old man with the scimitar revealed a ruthless killing intent. The scimitar in his hand was like lightning. It emitted a dazzling light and instantly cut through the air toward Shangguan Qingya's neck. The terrifying aura was shocking. Wherever the blade passed, ripples in the air would shatter. It was a terrifying scene. No! A deep roar suddenly rose into the sky. The red light was dazzling, and a majestic and domineering aura rushed up. A blade light seemed to resonate with the faint roar of a dragon. It was like a thunderstorm. The blade light was dazzling, and it slashed down with unparalleled ferocity. Kacha, the two blade lights collided. A large blade and a scimitar clashed. A terrifying aura erupted, and a muffled sound was like thunder. With a kacha sound, the scimitar seemed to be unable to withstand the terrifying aura. It cracked and shattered. But the scimitar was also blocked and forced back. The sound of metal buzzing could be heard. The large blade shattered and turned into powder. A red figure appeared and staggered back in the air. It was a young boy who looked to be about 15 or 16 years old. For some reason, he was floating in the air. The old man with the scimitar saw that it was a young boy in front of him. His expression could not help but change. Die. But at this moment, a long spear pierced through the chest of the village chief, Shangguan Qingya, at lightning speed. The middle-aged man with the long spear pierced through the village chief. He pulled out the long spear with a ruthless look in his eyes. ML swish, blood spurted out, and Shangguan Qingya's body fell from the sky. Grandma Shangguan! Su Yi roared in grief. He swooped down from the sky and pulled Shangguan Qingya's body. At the same time, they rolled on the ground. Shangguan Qingya's mouth was full of blood, and her pupils were already constricting. Grandma! Shangguan Shiwei rushed up, and her beautiful face turned pale. Grandma Shangguan! Su Yi knelt down on one knee and supported the village chief in his arms. His red eyes were moist. Su, this is your fake name, right? Looking at Su Yi, Shangguan Qingya's constricted pupils were trying hard to open. There was a smile on her pale face. Su Yi, Grandma Shangguan, my name is Su Yi. You will be fine. You will be fine. In his memory, Su Yi did not have a grandmother. He only heard that his grandmother died young. Su Yi had always treated this kind and peaceful old woman as his own family, his own grandmother, since he had come to such a utopian place. Su Yi was crying. His heart was bleeding. He quickly took out the healing elixir from his arms and was about to stuff it into Shangguan Qingya's mouth. Su Yi. Shangguan Qingya smiled. There was still blood at the corner of her mouth. She began to cough and blocked Su Yi's hand that was holding the healing elixir. She looked at Su Yi and said, "Kid, promise Grandma one thing. Grandma Shangguan, take the elixir quickly. You will be fine. I will promise you 100 things, 1,000 things. You will be fine." Chapter 281. Grandma has reached the end, and the elixir is useless. From the day you came to Spirit Ancient Village, Grandma could feel that you are not an ordinary person. Sure enough, Grandma didn't misjudge you. Shangguan Qingye smiled and looked at Su Yi and Shangguan Shiwei beside her. She said to Su Yi, "Child, promise Grandma that you will take good care of the people of Spirit Ancient Village in the future and protect the bloodline of Tian Yao School." Shangguan Qingye paused and blood flowed out. With difficulty, she placed Shangguan Shiwei's hand on Su Yi's hand that was holding the elixir and pressed them together. She tried hard to continue. "If you can leave today, you and your brother will have to take care of each other in the future. Otherwise, Grandma, don't talk, quickly take the elixir." Shangguan Shiwei cried and wanted to wipe the blood from her grandmother's lip. "Grandma Shangguan, quickly take the elixir. I promise you, quickly take the elixir." Su Yi nodded continuously, tears rolling down his cheeks. "Good child, then I am relieved." Shangguan Qingye smiled. Her constricted eyes were weak and had lost their last luster. They began to dim and close tightly. Grandma Shangguan." Su Yi and Shangguan Shiwei cried out heartbreakingly. They shook the old woman in their arms, but they couldn't wake her up. Chi La, there was a curved blade that was like lightning, transforming into an arc of lightning, slashing towards Su Yi again. The old man with the scimitar attacked again. Such a young man was very strange. His intuition gave him a sense of uneasiness, and he wanted to eliminate the source of trouble. "Be careful." An elder of the tribe of tiger hunters appeared with a treasure in his hand. It was like a halberd and a trident. It seemed to be accompanied by the shadow of a tiger. It blocked in front of Su Yi. Chi La, this elder's strength was not bad, but it was not as good as the old man with the scimitar. He was immediately sent flying. His weapon dimmed and cracked, and his body was also sent flying. The old man with the scimitar staggered and also took 2 steps back. Su Yi stood up and handed Shangguan Qingye to Shangguan Shiwei. He raised his head to the sky and let out a deafening roar. The scorching aura from his body surged out and became denser and denser. Such an aura caused the surrounding barbaric beasts to tremble in fear for no reason. Numerous blood moon-like ferocious eyes looked over in unison, mixed with shock. From Su Yi's body, a scarlet light materialized like an open flame. His eyes were also completely covered in a scarlet color. The blazing aura caused the surrounding space to become slightly distorted and illusory. What a strange kid. He has an external force that doesn't belong to him. It must be related to Tian Yao School. Sensing the terrifying aura that was being released from Su Yi's body at this moment, the scimitar old man and the spear-wielding middle-aged man's eyes were suddenly filled with astonishment. Soon after, a blazing gaze flashed across the depths of their eyes. In the distance, there were also obscure auras descending and noticing this unique aura. "No matter who you are, I won't let you go." Su Yi stared at the spear-wielding middle-aged man with his crimson-red eyes. A cold light flashed in his eyes. It was unknown whether it was because he had attained the heavenly origin demon soul, or because of the influence of the external force in the mysterious space, but his entire being exuded a destructive and sharp aura. This aura was majestic and unyielding. It was extremely strong and young, extremely tough and fierce, forming a unique and majestic aura. Su Yi's hair was disheveled, and his robe had been shattered by the external force in his body. However, the aura on his body had sublimated. Blue veins could be seen on his face, making him look even more ferocious. What a special kid! Since you're a remnant of the evil, I can't let you live, the spear-wielding middle-aged man said. His eyes were burning with passion, as if he wanted to capture Su Yi alive. He didn't use the spear in his hand. Instead, he shook his left hand and swooped down from the sky. His 5 fingers were slightly bent, as if they were distorting the void, and he clawed down at Su Yi. "I want you to pay with your life." Looking at the claw print, Su-yi didn't retreat. Instead, he moved forward. His scarlet eyes were burning like raging flames, and the blazing aura on his body burst out. He shook his arm, and the Overlord fist burst out. It was mixed with the sound of wind and thunder. It suddenly collided with the claw of the middle-aged man. Bang! The fist and the claw collided, and the explosion was like thunder. The surrounding void was also roaring, and the terrifying energy surged and burst out. Thump, thump! Su-yi staggered backward, and the ground under his feet cracked. However, the spear-wielding middle-aged man didn't have any advantage at this moment, and his body was also staggered backward. What a strong external force! The spear-wielding middle-aged man was shocked, but his eyes were burning with passion. He could feel the aura on the kid in front of him. He was afraid that the aura was left by the Tianyao school, and it was very likely that the aura was on the kid in front of him. MQ of unspecified currency, whoosh! The saber light broke through the air, and the old man with the machete quietly appeared in front of Shangguan Shiwei, and the machete in his hand fell. Be careful! Shangguan Chunfeng appeared in front of Shangguan Shiwei, and the sword light in his hand burst out. However, he was too weak, and everything was in vain. The sword light couldn't match up to the old man, and the machete pierced through his chest. Blood instantly dyed his white robe red. Brother Chunfeng, Shangguan Shiwei cried out in grief. Su-yi looked sideways, and when he saw the scene in front of him, his body trembled. I'll leave Spirit Ancient Village to you. Shangguan Chunfeng looked at Su-yi, and blood spurted out from his mouth. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. You overestimate yourself. The old man with the machete didn't show any mercy. His eyes were cold, and he pulled out his machete. Shangguan Chunfeng's body exploded, and he turned into a mist of blood. Su-yi roared in grief, and pulled out the broken sword on his back. He didn't know if it was because of the fierce external force in his body, or because of the indescribable grief in Su-yi's heart, but the broken sword flickered with a resplendent light, and a monstrous sword chi instantly burst out. In an instant, a surge of energy surged from the broken sword into Su-yi's body, and it complemented the external force in Su-yi's body, causing Su-yi's strength to increase explosively. However, at the same time, a monstrous killing intent surged into Su-yi's body along with the surging power, causing Su-yi to see a scene of blood flowing like a river and corpses piling up in front of him. This killing intent was too terrifying, as if it wanted to destroy everything. It caused Su-yi's body to tremble, as if it was going to be crushed by the killing intent. The mysterious space's power counteracted the killing intent's influence on Su-yi's body. However, within Su-yi's scarlet-red eyes, a blood-red killing intent once again climbed up and covered it. Buzz buzz. On the broken sword, the light was resplendent, and there was the sound of wind and thunder. That terrifying aura was like a monstrous beast awakening. Chi la, the sword chi was monstrous, and the sword light was dazzling. Kill! Su-yi's eyes were resplendent, and the bloody light was awe-inspiring. Without hesitation, he held the broken sword tightly and slashed at the old man with the machete. Wherever the sword light passed, the void would tremble, and the killing intent would fill the sky, causing one's heart to palpitate. Chapter 282. Swish, swish. The scimitar sliced through the air, and the scimitar light filled the air. In an instant, hundreds of scimitar lights swept towards Su-yi. When such saber lights were released, each saber light seemed to be able to cut through the void. The saber radiance shot out in unison. The scene was horrifying, as if it could cut through everything. The light in the surroundings dimmed. It was as if the only thing left in this small space were the hundreds of crisscrossing saber lights. Boom! The sword light and the saber light clashed. Su-yi's sword light seemed weak, but in an instant, it released a monstrous power. When it came into contact with the saber light, it turned into endless sword chi, accompanied by a terrifying killing intent that swept out in all directions. The terrifying sword chi was like a flood pouring down. It was not just one, but a sun of sword light, covering this small space. There was a violent collision. At this moment the old man with the scimitar was shocked, and the middle-aged man with the spear was also shocked. Soon, the old man's blade light was shattered inch by inch, destroyed by the sword chi. The sword light swept out, containing killing intent, and reached the old man with the scimitar. The old man with the scimitar tried to defend himself, but the scimitar in his hand exploded, emitting golden sparks. Cracks appeared on it, and his figure staggered back. Blood flowed down the old man's wrist, and the scimitar in his hand was chipped. He stared at Sui in shock, unable to continue. What a strong external force, what a strong killing intent! The old man with the scimitar was shocked. Such a young man's external force was so terrifying. The sword just now had a monstrous killing intent, which was beyond his expectations. He did not hold back much, and was almost seriously injured. Even so, he was not lightly injured. Su Yi's figure also retreated slightly. However, a cold, killing intent came from behind, sharp and ruthless. Come on! The aura on his body surged violently, and a blazing energy burst out. Su Yi knew that it was the middle-aged man with the spear behind him. He released his aura to the extreme, and some parts of his body even cracked. His flesh was badly mutilated, and he was like a bloody man. Blood flowed everywhere, and he slashed out with his sword. Boom! At this moment, the mysterious power and the broken sword merged together. The murderous aura and the destructive might merged together, forming a terrifying storm that swept across the area. Familiar figures were killed one by one. Grandmother Shangguan died in front of him, Shangguan Chunfeng died in front of him. At this moment, Su Yi was unable to restrain his anger. His grief was unbearable, and he disregarded everything. Killing intent erupted from his heart and covered everything. He wanted to kill these great enemies. Chi La. The sword light and the spear collided. Immediately there was an explosion of light. It was very intense and also as fast as lightning. However, it was only for an instant. The tip of the spear bent, cracked, and then bounced back. The spear-wielding middle-aged man's eyes were filled with shock. His body was sent flying and crashed into a stone wall behind him. He spat out a mouthful of blood and left a pool of blood on the ground. Su Yi's eyes were blood-red, and the broken sword in his hand was resplendent. His hair danced wildly behind him, making him look like a young god of slaughter. A few experts nearby noticed that a giant beast and two dazzling figures had appeared. Their gazes were fixed on Su Yi. All of you have come. Su Yi threw the resplendent heavy sword in his hand onto the ground. The ground around him collapsed and cracks spread out. His eyes looked straight at the eyes that were staring at him. His entire body was overflowing with killing intent. This was a kind of monstrous power that emitted an aura that could suppress the 9 heavens. This brat is very strange. Let's kill him together. Maybe he has something to do with the Tian Yao school. An expert in his 50s was wearing a loose robe. His hair was combed into a bun, and the aura on his body was astonishing. His whole body was flowing with light, and his eyes were cold. He took large strides across the sky and looked down from above. With a wave of his hand, it was like a dark cloud that covered Su Yi. If I don't die today, none of you will be able to live. I will repay you 100 times. Su Yi roared. His body was burning with killing intent, and his hair was standing on end. The surrounding boulders also rumbled. He pulled out his sword and directly slashed at the expert. What a strong external force! Let's kill him together. This brat cannot be left alive. Another ferocious beast and another expert joined in. They attacked together to suppress Su Yi. In fact, they were only guessing. This young man was so extraordinary and strange. Perhaps the Tian Yao school's legacy was on him. Deep in the sky, the battle was even more intense. Sword shadows filled the sky, beast claws tore through the air, and blood spilled. It was extremely shocking. The demon Venerable went crazy and fought in all directions. At this moment, the demon Venerable was going all out. Those super experts were also erupting. Vitality of various attributes had already formed the energy of heaven and earth. Their auras were surging as they fought fiercely. Roar, the demon Venerable's old tiger body was incomparably valiant at this moment. It became huge and occupied the sky. There was a unique demonic aura that soared into the sky. It was like an ancient divine tiger. This demonic aura was not ordinary demonic aura, but the coercion of the demonic race. It came from heaven and earth. It was demonic but not evil. The sword light in the hands of the Saint Mountain Expert was as bright as the galaxy. It could illuminate the night and release a divine aura that could cut through the void. The ferocious tiger's body was also expanding at this moment. Light intertwined around its body. Its tiger claws were like hooks that could crush stars. A ferocious bird spread its wings. Its blood moon-like eyes reflected the sun and the moon. There were also a few shining figures. They were also extremely powerful. An old figure's eyes were shining. He and the ferocious tiger wanted to kill the demon Venerable the most. The old figure was emotionless. The light around him was so dazzling that it covered half of the sky. His aura was so terrifying that it was monstrous. He stood in the void like a god. He took the opportunity to hit the demon Venerable with his palm. The light of the palm print intertwined and fell like a cloud of stars. Blood spilled from the demon Venerable's body, but it continued to fight fiercely with the experts around it. It seemed to have forgotten about its own life and death. Its demonic aura was unstoppable. Kill! Several super experts besieged and tried their best to kill the demon Venerable. However, these super experts were also shocked and incomparably shocked. This tiger was indeed a demon Venerable left behind by the Sky Demon sect. It was actually so powerful that it was able to resist the joint attack of several of them even at the end of its journey. You're like an arrow at the end of its flight. You're still so crazy. But you've reached the end. The ferocious tiger shouted. It could see that the demon Venerable was getting weaker and weaker. Sure enough, the demon Venerable was injured one after another. The big tiger retreated in the sky. Roar! The demon Venerable roared. Its eyes were shining. The demonic aura on its body was getting stronger and stronger. Its demonic aura was soaring. It looked at the enemies around it. The light on its body was getting brighter and brighter. It formed ripples that covered the sky like an inescapable net. This inescapable net intertwined, emitting a buzzing sound. Bright light flashed and runes flickered. It actually enveloped several super experts, as if it wanted to bind them. A demonic aura filled the air, enveloping the 9 heavens. Demon Underworld Net. This is your last resort. Do you think you can deal with so many of us at the same time? Chapter 283. The rest of the super powerhouses were also fearless. They knew that this was the demon Venerable's last resort. However, it was impossible for him to defeat their siege with this last resort. After the demon Venerable activated his last resort, it would be the end for him. It's indeed impossible to kill you all, but this is enough, the demon Venerable said with a smile in his eyes. He looked down and suddenly said, "If you don't show up now, when will you? Take as many as you can with you. Remember your promise to me. You are the new demon Venerable of Tian Yao School. From now on, the Tian Yao School will be in your hands." These words resounded through the void. Walala, suddenly, surging flames swept out from the collapsed demon Azura Mountain. They rained down from the sky, burning everything in their path to nothingness. The blazing flames were so terrifying that the entire space was fluctuating. Oh no, this old demon has other plans. This old demon is going to arrange for people to escape with the remaining students of Tian Yao School. Seeing this, the expressions of the super powerhouses changed greatly. Chi La. The fierce tiger tore the void with its giant claws, trying to break free from the demon Venerable's restraint. The ferocious bird spread its wings as if it could cover the sky and distort the void. The shadows of beasts roared around the old man, and the 9 heavens trembled. The powerhouses of the Saint Mountain waved their swords. The sword radiance was so powerful that it could cut everything into pieces. The other powerhouses were also attacking with all their might, releasing monstrous auras. All kinds of attacks crisscrossed, trying to cut off the demon Venerable's restraint and stop the demon Venerable's arrangement. However, the demon Venerable's strength was beyond their expectations. They couldn't break free at all. At this moment, they realized that the demon Venerable had deliberately led them to the sky and gradually restrained them. He had other plans. Boom, boom, boom. The ground began to crack. Monstrous flames appeared, and the blazing aura became more and more intense. The earth shook and the mountains shook. The terrifying aura rushed into the sky. Cracks spread along the ground and spread across the ancient, turbulent land. Monstrous flames roared out from the void and gathered together. The surging flames made the powerhouses' skin burn and their hair stand on end. What's going on? The expressions of the invading group of great enemies changed. This blazing aura was definitely not ordinary, making them feel a type of bone-chilling feeling for no reason, and their hearts trembled inwardly. Everyone stared at the sky. There seemed to be something that was about to emerge from the raging flames. Walala! The sea of fire blotted out the sky and covered the earth. In an instant, it covered a large area of the void. Su-Yi was like a young god of death, fighting against several experts. His sword light was resplendent, and his killing intent was monstrous. However, under the siege of several experts, he was forced to retreat step by step. However, the spear-wielding middle-aged man and the scimitar-wielding old man were even more shocked. That young man was actually so terrifying. Although it was obvious that he had borrowed some kind of external force, he was able to withstand such a terrifying external force and fight fiercely with them to such an extent. This was even more terrifying. True killing intent rose in their hearts. If such a young man could leave today, it wouldn't take long for him to grow to a terrifying level. Su-Yi, who had gone berserk, also sensed the sudden commotion in the void. Su-Yi's figure staggered back. His gaze followed the terrifying blazing aura and looked in the direction of the commotion. He seemed to feel a familiar aura surging in the sea of fire that erupted from the sea of fire. Boom! A huge illusory figure emerged from the sea of fire, faintly discernible. When the huge illusory figure appeared, the powerhouses immediately sensed it. It was possible to sense an indescribably frightening pressure from the illusory figure, causing a shocked expression to immediately surface on the faces of everyone present. Especially the brute demon beast powerhouses present. When they felt the aura from the illusory figure of the sea of fire, a bone-chilling feeling rose in their hearts. Let's get rid of this brat first. The spear-wielding middle-aged man roared and gritted his teeth. On his pale face, his long spear emitted a dazzling radiance once again as he thrust it towards Su-Yi. The scimitar-wielding old man and the other powerhouses stared at Su-Yi once again. No one wanted this young man to fall into the hands of others. Several powerful attacks swept towards him at the same time. Su-Yi's eyes were scarlet red, and his killing intent did not decrease. The sword light in his hand fluctuated along with the killing intent that filled the sky. Screech! Suddenly, a piercing screech resounded above the sea of fire. A huge, illusory figure of a flaming bird, like a phoenix or a rock, quickly took shape. Its huge wings flapped, wrapped in blazing flames. The entire sky shook, and its power shocked everyone. Swish! A dazzling flame swept down, attacking Su-Yi's surroundings and enveloping Su-Yi. Bang, bang, bang. Without any hesitation, the attacks that were originally aimed at Sui landed on the monstrous flames. A muffled sound rang out, and several figures were instantly repelled, landing heavily in the distance. Screech, the illusory figure screeched again, spreading its wings. The blazing flames that filled the sky lit up the dark sky. Above the surrounding void, the space distorted and collapsed. Flames swept out, condensing into streaks of flames. As if they had eyes, they landed on the bodies of the powerhouses in the void. Bang, bang, bang! The flames exploded and the void shook. Some of the powerhouses were sent flying, some vomited blood, and some fell, screaming in pain. Let's go! The flames that filled the sky fell like a curtain of light, and finally enveloped this ancient world. Many people from the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe were enveloped in the void. Su-yi, Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Xiu, and the others were also enveloped. It was as if a boundless giant hand had reached down, causing the surroundings to dim, and they were involuntarily enveloped. Let's go! Such a shout resounded in Su-yi's ears. Above the void, space was vaguely torn apart, revealing a black hole. The surrounding light was distorted, and the deep black light that permeated from it seemed to be able to devour people's souls. Whoosh! The huge illusory figure of flames brought many people from the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe towards the black hole. Who dares to interfere? Itiron section moi nu m. Above the sky, the fierce tiger, the old figure, and the others looked cold. They did not expect that someone would dare to take away the remnants of the Tian Yao school right under their noses. Rumble, attacking with all their might, the super powerhouses no longer held back and shattered the void. The bright light exploded the void, and energy constantly burst out from the shattered void. It was as if countless meteorites had fallen, destroying this ancient world. The demon Venerable could no longer hold on, and the big net was already breaking. Chapter 284. Roar! The demon Venerable roared. His eyes were like two suns, and blood kept flowing out of his body. But at this moment, the aura on his body was burning brighter and brighter, with runes flashing around him. This old guy wants to die. Some experts' expressions changed, their faces filled with shock. Oh no, all the strong men around were shocked. They retreated quickly as if they had seen the most horrifying thing. Tian Yao School will make a comeback. Heaven will not destroy my Tian Yao School. The demon reverend spoke, his voice reverberating throughout the area. The light around his body seemed to be burning, becoming incomparably brilliant. The light was like a tidal wave, and his demonic chi turned into a vast ocean. The strength of his body was like an ancient tiger god standing tall. Bang! Suddenly, the blazing body of the demon lord expanded and exploded, as if a bomb had been detonated. Terrifying energy swept across the sky. It was so dazzling that nothing could be seen. Unparalleled power and demonic aura were bursting out. Low in the air, some people cried out miserably. Many great enemies who had descended were affected by the shockwave. They cried out miserably as they fell. Some of their bodies were directly smashed apart, causing a rain of blood to splash out. Some enormous demonic beasts were even struck by the energy and had their bodies torn in half. Such an explosion sent chills down everyone's spines. All the enemies fled to avoid the terrible impact. Immediately afterwards, the heavens returned to normal. Everything was empty. Night returned to this ancient world, surrounded by a curtain of night. Find him. He can't have gone far. Someone in the sky said in a gloomy voice. Su-yi couldn't struggle. His eyes were still red, and he was full of murderous intent. But the consciousness in his mind was not covered. It was getting clearer and clearer. Swish! After an unknown period of time, Sui felt his body falling. His vision was no longer red. He could clearly see that he was falling from midair. Below him was a bottomless abyss, a pitch-black abyss. Buzz! Just as his body fell into the abyss, Su-yi stabbed the heavy sword in his hand. In the sound of metal clashing, sparks flew. The heavy sword stabbed into the stone wall. The heavy sword cut the stone like it was mud. His body fell, but in the end it stopped. The boulders around him trembled a few times, and finally, it was safe. Ah! Su-yi let out a loud roar, his heavy sword glowed, and his hair stood on end. Su-yi's feet tapped on the rock wall, and his body instantly leaped into the abyss. Above the abyss, the crescent moon was like a hook, and the stars were twinkling. Su-yi opened his eyes and looked at the sky. The surroundings were quiet. He didn't see any powerful enemies chasing him. But just now, many people fell with him and were scattered nearby. Holding the heavy sword in his hand, the external force in his body had yet to dissipate. Su-yi looked up at the sky. He had already gone to an unknown place. Roar! Suddenly, a deafening beast roared from afar. Su-yi waved his sword and sensed the direction of the beast's roar. He immediately sprinted in that direction. One must know that many people had fallen nearby. Plus unspecified currency #Jing 4 edition head to hair soon, Su-yi arrived at his destination. Under the moonlight, several figures appeared in the messy mountain. Su-yi knew a few of them. Hu-chi and Hu-mo from the tribe of tiger hunters, Xiong-zhan and Xiong-lai from the wild bear tribe, and a few elders from the tribe of tiger hunters and wild bear tribe. However, their cultivation was not high, not much stronger than Xiong-zhan and the others. Roar! A huge black beast was staring at Hu-chi, Xiong-zhan, and the others. Its body was black, with sparse long hair. Its body emitted a black light and its mouth was sharp. It looked like a pig or a wolf, and its aura was ferocious. Humans, you disturb this king's cultivation. You must die. The beast roared and spoke in human language. Killing intent filled the air. It was cultivating in seclusion in the moonlight, and wanted to break through. It didn't expect so many humans to appear and disturb it. It was furious. Demon illusionary stage. Hu-chi, Hu-mo, Xiong-zhan, and the others had just landed. They didn't expect to disturb a demon illusionary stage barbaric beast. They knew they were no match for it. Bastard, get lost. Otherwise I will kill you. Su-yi rushed forward. The grief in his heart hadn't subsided, and his eyes were red. It's him. Seeing Su-yi, Hu-chi, Xiong-zhan, and the others were moved. They had all seen Su-yi fight against several experts and sweep through the 4 directions. The ferocious beast stared at Su-yi, as if it had sensed some kind of aura. The aura of the demon illusionary realm began to ripple as well. It was a majestic and destructive aura, filled with murderous intent that made the ferocious beast shudder. Roar! The beast's voice was low. Although it was unwilling, it didn't dare to get closer. It was indeed intimidated. It stared at Su-yi carefully. Swish! Suddenly, a blood-red light shot out from not far away. It was at least 100 feet long, and a blood-red python shot out. Its tongue flickered like blood-red lightning under the moonlight. Its aura was even stronger than that of the ferocious beast. It swooped down towards Su-yi and opened its bloody mouth, wanting to swallow Su-yi whole. Bastard, you are courting death. Su-yi's heart was filled with grief and anger. Although the external force on his body was slowly dissipating, it had not completely dissipated. The heavy sword in his hand slashed forward. The sword light was like wind and thunder, the light was surging, and the sword light was like a vast ocean that swept across. That blood-red python didn't expect Su-yi's speed and strength to be so powerful. Its expression changed. Its huge tail swept out. With a swing of its tail, it shattered many of Su-yi's sword light. In the end, the giant tail swept across a pile of rocks, causing the rocks to explode and the boulders to tumble. Humph! Su-yi was indescribably sorrowful. Just as he was about to vent his anger, the heavy sword in his hand swept out. It was like a flash of lightning. It was as powerful as thunder. It directly pierced through the huge tail of the blood-red python and stabbed it into the rock. The light on the heavy sword was dazzling. It erupted with a terrifying murderous aura. It imprisoned the snake's tail and locked it into the rock. Hiss! The blood-red python screamed in pain. It raised its head and swooped down. The smell of blood assailed the nostrils. It wanted to swallow Sui. Come on! Sui didn't retreat. Instead, he roared. The aura on his body erupted. He directly punched out. The red light on his fist was like a sun. It was like a small comet streaking across the void. A majestic and destructive aura filled the air. At this moment, the blood-red python's eyes suddenly surged with fear. It quickly raised its head and tried to dodge. It didn't dare to resist at all. However, it was too late. Suyi's fist had already landed. The blood-red python was engulfed by the red light. The fist landed below its head. The blood-red python's scales were badly mangled. It was severely injured. The huge blood-red python's body rolled and fell. It fell heavily on the side of the mountain. With a rumbling sound, the rocks were shattered. Its body also withered and cracked. Chapter 285. Sui straddled the blood-colored python's back. Red light burst out from his hands, and in an instant, his fists rained down like a torrential downpour. Bang, 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 bang. A low muffled sound rang out as the fists landed on the python's head. The python's head was split open, and blood splattered everywhere. It screamed in pain, but it couldn't move at all. Its giant tail was stuck upside down, and it couldn't move at all. Its head struggled, but after a few more punches from Sui, it became weak. Bang bang! Sui exploded. Red light surged on his fists, and his aura was majestic and destructive. Every time he punched, a bloody hole would appear on the python's head. Suyi's aura became weaker and weaker, and the speed of his punches became slower and slower. When the last bit of energy was exhausted, the speed of Suyi's punches completely stopped. The blood-colored python's head had completely turned into a pile of meat paste. A demonic illusory realm brute beast expert's head was directly blown apart. Roar! The ferocious beast's roar was getting further and further away. It was unknown when, but it had already escaped without a trace. Ah! Sui roared towards the sky. His voice was filled with grief, and it made people feel sad for no reason. The red light in his eyes had completely faded, and the aura on his body had completely disappeared. However, Suyi's eyes were still blood-red, and they were covered by the color of blood. Xiongzhan, Hu Qi, and the others looked at each other in shock. A demonic illusory realm brute beast expert was actually killed by that guy. But then, Xiongzhan, Hu Qi, and the others looked towards a certain direction in the sky. That was the direction of their home. At this moment they were too far away. They had escaped, but the rest of their clansmen were killed and massacred. Each of them clenched their fists, and their eyes were wet with tears. On the back of the blood-red python, Sui was gasping for breath. His face was as pale as ash, and his blood-red eyes were moist. After stuffing a few healing medicinal pills into his mouth, Sui climbed down from the python's back and took out a spirit weapon from his interspatial bag. He used it to cut open the python's skin and took out a fist-sized demon core that was filled with red light from its abdomen. Hu Qi, Xiongzhan, and the others watched from afar as Sui did everything. They wanted to step forward, but they didn't. They just stood there quietly. Putting away the demon core, Sui pulled out the broken sword from the snake's tail, which had already returned to normal. He found a sturdy tree vine on the ground, and once again carried the broken sword and a new large blade spirit weapon on his back. Only then did Sui walk over to Hu Qi and the others. His gaze swept over them as he asked, "No serious injuries?" "Nothing serious," Xiongzhan, Hu Qi, and the few elders looked at each other and shook their heads. Do you know where this place is? Sui looked around and asked everyone. It should be inside the barbaric demon forest. An elder from the tribe of tiger hunters spoke. He looked around and realized that they had already arrived at the barbaric demon forest. There are still a lot of people left behind nearby. Let's go find them now. Hearing that, Su Yi's gaze changed. This was the barbaric demon forest. Rumor had it that the barbaric demon forest was a paradise for barbaric demon beasts. There were barbaric demon beasts everywhere. He had to find everyone, and there couldn't be any accidents. As soon as he finished speaking, Su Yi stepped forward and left. He wanted to find the others. Hu Qi, Xiongzhan, and the others hesitated for a moment, then followed behind Su Yi. Night, the waning moon hung in the west. Su Yi walked with difficulty as he crossed the mountains. Along the way, he found a few more people, including Shangguan Yi and Shangguan Xiu. %B. Dead, mother is dead, father is dead, village chief grandma is dead, old village chief is dead, so many people are dead. Shangguan Yi cried as he sat on a rock. Tears couldn't help but fall from his eyes. Woo woo, Shangguan Xiu cried as tears streamed down her face. Seeing this scene, Xiongzhan, Hu Qi, and the others couldn't help but feel sorrow in their hearts. The group was incomparably sad. Su Yi clenched his fists, and his eyes were red. So many kind and peaceful villagers were killed just like that. Let's go, find everyone as soon as possible, Su Yi shouted. His eyes were red, but he held back his tears and continued to search around. Along the way, he also left the marks of Spirit Ancient Village, tribe of tiger hunters, and wild bear tribe. He had to find everyone. The sky was bright and the group found more and more people. Shangguan Rock and Shangguan Yu were among them. There were also some young people from the tribe of tiger hunters and wild bear tribe. There were already dozens of people in the lineup. Finally, Su Yi found Shangguan Shiwei on a mountain top. Su Tianke was also among them. At this moment, Su Diank's eyes were a little red, and he was still hairless. When he saw Su Yi and the others coming, he wasn't surprised. He looked even more mature as he said to Su Yi, "You're here." Su Yi nodded and looked at Shangguan Shiwei. Shangguan Shiwei was half squatting on the ground. It seemed like she had been in this position for a long time. She was still hugging the corpse of her grandmother, Shangguan Qingya. Her tears were already flowing, and she cried silently. Su Yi walked gently to Shangguan Shiwei and stood beside her. He looked at the pale and kind face of village chief Grandma Shangguan. His heart ached, a heart-wrenching pain. Village chief Grandma Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Xiu, and the other villagers of Spirit Ancient Village gathered around her. No one said a word. They all stood quietly at the side. After a long time, Sui looked at Shangguan Shiwei and said, "Let's bury Grandma first. This place is not far from home, so let's bury her here. In the future we can come and visit her often." Shangguan Shiwei's sluggish eyes moved. She looked at Su-yi and nodded. Su-yi took the village chief's corpse and gently hugged it in his arms. He went to the side and found a place with beautiful scenery. He looked at the direction of the paradise and began to dig the grave. The surrounding people were speechless, but they all came forward to help. No one said a word. Finally, after burying the village chief, Shangguan Rock found a huge rock and wanted to carve a tombstone. "We'll carve a tombstone in the future." Su Tianke stopped him and said, "Everyone has escaped. I'm afraid that the enemies won't let us go so easily. They will look for us. We must leave this place as soon as possible and try not to leave any traces." Sui nodded and stopped everyone. "Grandma." In front of the grave, Shangguan Shiwei's voice was wet and hoarse. She was crying silently. "Village Chief Grandma." The people of Spirit Ancient Village couldn't hold it in any more. They sobbed, and their eyes were red with tears. Chapter 286. Everyone said their final goodbyes and left with Su-yi with bloodshot eyes. Su Tianke looked at the tombstone and also turned to leave. Brother Isu, where are we going now? Shangguan Rock and the others caught up and asked Su-yi. We're leaving this place. The further, the better. Su-yi said. Those great enemies were all extremely powerful and would not give up easily. They wanted to leave this place as soon as possible. Some of our people have left. Xiongzhan, Hu Qi, and a few elders from the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe came forward and looked at Su-yi. Some of our people have left? Where are they now? Hearing this, Su-yi was sad but also relieved. At least the Tian Yao school had left behind many descendants. They're in a secret place. We know the way. That secret place was arranged by our ancestors for generations in order to prevent a day like this from coming. When the time comes, we can transfer some of our descendants, Hu Qi said. Back then, they were taken to that secret place by the strong cultivators to take refuge. However, they turned back halfway. Only when they returned to the tribe did they realize that with their strength, they could not do anything. If it were not for them, perhaps some of the strong cultivators in the tribe would have been able to escape. They still regretted it now. That secret place may not be really secret. However, it seems that we can only go back first and gather everyone. Su Tianke said, his small eyes rolling. However, looking at Su Tianke at this moment, no one laughed at him anymore. Instead, there was a kind of respect in their eyes. Everyone knew that the bald chicken in front of them was the one who saved them last night. He was definitely a strong cultivator. Su-yi also had many questions about what happened last night. He wanted to ask Su Tianke, but now was not the time. Everyone looked at each other before their gazes finally landed on Su-yi. At this moment, everyone subconsciously regarded Su-yi as the center of attention. You decide. What do you think? Shangguan Shiwei said in a hoarse voice. Will you listen to me? Su-yi looked at everyone present at the moment. The demon venerable had handed over the Tian Yao school to him in the end. Su-yi did not mention this, but now was not the time to talk about it. But for everyone in front of him, whether it was the tribe of tiger hunters, Spirit Ancient Village, or the wild bear tribe, they were all descendants of Tian Yao school. With the Heavenly Fei Ancient Sutra and the legacy of the previous Tian Yao school's sect master, Su-yi subconsciously treated everyone as his own. Su-yi was especially shocked when the demon venerable fought for a way out for everyone. No matter what the reason was, he could not let the demon venerable down. M+J edition 1st% issue 21-inch speak. War Bear, Tiger Chi, and the others nodded without much hesitation. At this moment, they knew very well that they were powerless to lead everyone out of danger. They were all proud people. Even if they knew that Su-yi was very strong, they would not necessarily obey him normally. However, from last night until now they had seen everything. They had seen how Su-yi had swept through the place for everyone. In order to save them, they had seen how ferociously he had killed the demonic illusory realm blood-colored python. They could feel that Su-yi's heart was as sorrowful as theirs, and they could clearly see Su-yi's red eyes. Invisibly, Tiger Chi and War Bear had already treated Su-yi as one of their own. For the sake of their tribe, they knew that they were powerless to lead. If they followed the young man in front of them, who was a few years younger than them, there was still some hope. After all, they had seen with their own eyes how extraordinary he was. Su-yi looked at everyone and did not decline. Although he was only 15 or 16 years old in his reincarnation, including his previous life, there might not be anyone here who was older than him. Nodding his head, he asked everyone, "How far is the secret place from here?" Tiger Chi raised his head and looked around. He estimated and said, "If we can find a flying barbaric beast, we should be able to reach in 2 to 3 days. We can't ride on flying barbaric beasts. Conceal your aura and walk slowly." Su-yi shook his head. This was the barbaric demon forest. There were powerful barbaric beasts everywhere. With their strength, it was definitely not safe. If they subdued a few flying barbaric beasts as mounts, it would only be harmful in the air. They would become the prey of those overlords in the air at any time. Moreover, although they were fast in the air, they would also become the target of those powerful enemies. It would be extremely easy for them to be exposed. The group set off and headed towards the secret place to meet up with the group of tribesmen who had evacuated in advance. They were in the barbaric demon forest. Along the way, they encountered many barbaric beasts. Most of them were at the demon true realm. However, it was not easy to encounter barbaric beasts at the demon illusionary realm. With the aura of Su Yi's origin supreme technique, it was enough to intimidate those barbaric beasts below the demon true realm. They did not encounter too much trouble. At night, everyone rested for a short while. Su Yi took out many elixirs and passed them to everyone to heal their injuries and regulate their breathing. In the Xanadu there were very few alchemists. Although there were many medicinal herbs, there were not many alchemists who could refine them. Therefore, regardless of whether it was the spirit ancient village, the wild bear tribe, or the tribe of tiger hunters, the elixirs that they could obtain were very rare. Seeing that Su Yi took out so many elixirs in one go, everyone was shocked and grateful. After fleeing in a sorry state after a huge battle, everyone was exhausted. They indeed needed to recover and heal their injuries as fast as possible. Tonight, the moon was dim and the stars were bright. Night clouds floated in the sky, piling up on the night sky. Occasionally, the night wind would blow gently. From far away, the roars of barbaric beasts could be heard from time to time. Shangguan Shiwei hugged her knees and sat on a towering boulder. She stared blankly at the night sky. Her hair was slightly messy and a few strands of hair covered her face. Looking at the sky, it might be raining soon. Su Yi walked over slowly and said softly as he sat beside Shangguan Shiwei. Grandma is dead. Brother Chen Feng is dead. Aunt Ming is dead. Elder Qing Ming is dead. First elder, second elder, and so many others are dead. Where did those people come from? Why are they so vicious? Shangguan Shiwei did not lower her eyes. She continued to stare at the night sky quietly. Her voice was clear and there was only grief on her face. Tears welled up in her eyes and she did not want to let them flow out. Su Yi's lips curled up as he listened to Shangguan Shiwei's words. It was as though those lively faces were floating in front of him. He gritted his teeth and said, "Don't worry, I won't let any of them off in the future." Shangguan Shiwei did not say anything and sat there blankly. Chapter 287. The two of them were speechless as the night breeze caressed them. After a long time, Shangguan Shiwei looked at Su Yi with a low moan. Something seemed to be moving in her eyes. Looking at Shangguan Shiwei, Su Yi's heart ached. Others might not be able to feel this feeling, but Su Yi could more or less empathize with her. From now on, there's no one by my side. They've all left. I'm the only one left. I'm the only one left. Shangguan Shiwei finally couldn't hold it in. Her voice trembled as she threw herself into Su Yi's embrace. Su Yi opened his arms and hugged Shangguan Shiwei. He felt her trembling and sobbing body as he tightly hugged her warm body in his arms. Without saying anything, Su Yi only hugged the sobbing body tightly and felt the warmth of her tears on his chest. Su Yi knew that she needed to vent. This kind of unforeseen event was too big for a village girl who had been aloof from worldly affairs since she was young. Time slowly passed. Shangguan Shiwei wantonly cried for a long time before she gradually calmed down. Su Yi accompanied her every minute and second until it was quiet. Only the sound of the night breeze blowing the leaves could be heard. At this time, Su Yi said softly, "There's also the remaining people of Spirit Ancient Village. Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yi, Shangguan Xiu, and Shangguan Yu are all here. I'm also here. Before Grandma left, she told me to take care of you." Grandma clearly said that she wanted me to take care of you. Don't forget, you're younger than me. Shangguan Shiwei looked up and wriggled out of Su Yi's embrace. Her face was a mess from crying, and there were strands of hair stuck to her cheeks. Looking at the girl in front of him, Su Yi smiled. After crying, perhaps he was treating her better. He smiled and said, I'm younger than you, but I'm a man. Naturally, I have to take care of you. Alright, I remember that when Grandma left, she told us to take care of each other. Shangguan Shiwei looked at the young man in front of her, and her cheeks turned red for no reason. She asked, Do I look ugly when I cry? Not ugly at all. I'm afraid that no girl in this world can cry like you. Su Yi smiled. I never thought that you would be able to use such flowery words. I'm afraid that many women in the outside world have been deceived by you. Shangguan Shiwei rolled her eyes at Su Yi, but there was a rare trace of a smile in her eyes. She looked at Su Yi and continued, In the future, us siblings will have to take care of each other. However, I'm afraid that this elder sister of mine doesn't know how to take care of others. I don't know if you will acknowledge me as your elder sister. How could I not acknowledge such a beautiful elder sister? Since elder sister doesn't know how to take care of others, then I'll take care of elder sister Shiwei in the future. Su Yi pursed his lips and smiled, a trace of warmth appearing in his sorrowful heart. You're still so good at coaxing people. Quickly go and adjust your breathing. I'm afraid that you'll have to take care of everyone for the next few days. Shangguan Shiwei nodded and smiled, then turned around and left. Looking at the back of her delicate figure, Su Yi smiled faintly. He stood on the huge rock and looked up at the dark night sky. His expression gradually became gloomy and fierce, and a cold light filled his eyes. What are your plans? A clear voice quietly sounded. Su Diang's body swayed as he appeared with his tail between his legs. His small eyes were especially bright and deep in the night sky. You've recovered your strength? Su Yi looked at Su Tianke with light surging in his eyes. His heart was filled with anticipation. Last night, the monstrous sea of fire, the terrifying blazing aura, and the huge illusory figure. It wasn't difficult for Su Yi to know that it was related to Su Tianke. That was the aura on Su Tianke's body. Su Tianke was able to escape with so many people under the noses of so many super experts. How powerful must he be to be able to do that? It wasn't difficult for Su Yi to guess. The only possibility was that what Su Tianke had said before was true. This guy might really be a peacock and had recovered his strength. It's still too early for me to fully recover. Su Tianke shook his head. His small body stood on the huge rock under Su Yi's feet. He also looked up at the night sky and said, It's the demon Venerable. He helped me. He helped me recover a lot and even helped me regain some of my memories. What's going on? Su Yi was surprised and puzzled. He didn't know when Su Tianke had made contact with the demon Venerable. The tiger knew about us on the first day we came. It felt that you were extraordinary and also saw some clues about my origin. After you entered the heavenly monster cave, the tiger found me. Su Tianke explained the general situation to Su Yi. It turned out that the demon Venerable knew that Su Yi and Su Tianke had entered the spirit ancient village and had been secretly observing them. The demon Venerable had also sensed that Su Tianke was extraordinary and had been worried about the arrival of a strong enemy. Therefore, he left a backup plan and found Su Tianke. After understanding the situation, he promised to help Su Tianke recover. Cool Craftsman 2/net U8 Genuine X version. However, the demon Venerable had a request. He wanted Su Tianke to agree to join Tian Yao School. Su Tianke didn't agree at first, but the demon Venerable said that as long as he was alive, Su Tianke didn't have to become the demon Venerable of Tian Yao School. Moreover, he would be free. Even if the demon Venerable died, Su Tianke could still consider it. Therefore, Su Tianke agreed for the time being. Not long after, the demon venerable found Su Tianke again and said that a strong enemy had arrived. Su Yi had become the suzerain of Tian Yao School and needed Su Tianke to do something for him. It was to find a way to survive for Tian Yao School. The tiger knows that it doesn't have much time left, so it wants to die. It asked me to give this to you. Su Tianke spat out a palm-sized jade token. It was dark red all over and had many ancient runes engraved on it. Su Yi took the jade token in his hand. He didn't feel any aura from it, but he felt a kind of demon aura permeating the air. The words Tian Yao School were engraved on it. The tiger said that this is the Tian Yao School's suzerain token. It has something to do with the future of Tian Yao School. It should be kept safe. It will be of great use in the future, Su Tianke said. Su Yi looked more carefully at the suzerain token in his hand. However, he didn't find anything special about it. Other than the fact that it was made of a mysterious material, he asked Su Tianke, "Did the demon venerable say what this suzerain token is for? Is it a treasure?" "I don't know. You can't ask it." Su Tianke raised his eyebrows. When he mentioned the demon venerable, there were some fluctuations in his small eyes. "Then to what extent have you recovered?" Su Yi put the suzerain token away and asked Su Tianke. If the demon venerable helped Su Tianke recover, then this guy must have recovered a lot. "I haven't recovered much. I do remember some things, but it's not very effective. I guess I was tricked by the tiger." Chapter 288. Hearing this, Su Yi felt a little regretful. If Su Tianke had recovered, the Tian Yao School's people would have more power to protect themselves. "Do you accept the position of Tian Yao School's overlord?" Su Tianke looked at Su Yi. His small eyes blinked and light flickered in them. "I'm afraid I'll let the demon lord down." Su Yi smiled bitterly. He already had a bunch of troubles on his own, not to mention the fact that the Sky Demon Sect's great enemies were all experts. With his cultivation and strength, he would probably fail to live up to the demon venerable's trust. The Tian Yao School seems to have some history, but it's been a long time, and it has declined to this extent. It also has a lot of great enemies. Su Tianke spoke slowly. He looked at Su Yi and said, "Or are you afraid? If there's a day in the future, I won't let any of those who were here yesterday off." Su Yi clenched his fist. Grandma Shangguan's death, Elder Shangguan Qingming's death, Shangguan Chunfeng's death, and those simple villagers' death. If there was a chance in the future, he would definitely take revenge. "That's right. Although the Tian Yao School is a big trouble, it's not a bad thing for you." Su Tianke smiled and moved closer to Su Yi's ear with a mysterious look. He said, "As far as I know, the Spirit Ancient Village brought out a lot of 100-fruit wine. Now that you're the new overlord of Tian Yao School, you can give me some when the time comes. The 100-fruit wine tastes really good." Su Yi rolled his eyes at Su Tianke helplessly. This guy is really greedy. Even now, he's still thinking about the 100-fruit wine. Su Yi looked at Su Tianke and said, "The Demon Lord wants you to be the new Demon Lord of Tian Yao School. What do you think?" Su Yi reckoned that although Su Tianke had a mysterious background, he was definitely not an ordinary person. He might not be the peacock that Su Tianke had been talking about, but he must have had a great background. If he could become the new Demon Lord of the Tian Yao School, it would be beneficial to the Tian Yao School in the future. Moreover, this was the arrangement made by the Demon Lord before he left. "I didn't promise to become the Demon Venerable of Tian Yao School." That tiger also agreed. "Whether I agree to become the Demon Venerable of Tian Yao School is up to me." Su Tianke raised his eyebrows and pouted. "I'm a peacock. How can I become the Demon Lord of this little Tian Yao School? If this gets out, how can I show my face in the future? You, peacock!" Su Yi rolled his eyes at Su Tianke and almost kicked him. He said angrily, "If you were a peacock, you wouldn't have escaped last night. It's just that I haven't recovered my strength yet. When I recover my strength, I can easily trample those enemies to death," Su Tianke said indifferently. "You can say that to others, but it's useless to say it to me," Su Yi said. He then sat down cross-legged and ignored Su Tianke. He had been seriously injured and exhausted. He had barely survived the day, so he urgently needed to recover. Originally, it would be the fastest to enter the mysterious space to recover. However, there were too many people here, so it was not a safe place. Although Su Yi wanted to enter the mysterious space and see how much it had expanded, he didn't want to. Su Yi's recent improvement was amazing. Su Yi also wanted to know how the golden python, white jade mystic bird, and blazing savage bird were doing in the mysterious space. However, Su Yi had to endure. The mysterious space was very important. He could only summon it when he was in an absolutely safe place. "I'll also go and recover." Seeing that Su Yi was ignoring him, Su Tianke felt bored. He sat down cross-legged and entered a cultivation posture. He absorbed the power of the moon and the energy of heaven and earth to recover. As a savage beast, his cultivation method was somewhat similar to that of humans. However, all cultivation methods originated from the same source and were inseparable from the energy of heaven and earth. After taking a healing elixir, Su Yi shook his robe and activated the Origin Supreme technique. He began to adjust his breathing. A faint red light quickly enveloped his body. An oppressive aura filled the air. His whole body shone brightly in the moonlight. Fortunately, this place was hidden and would not be easily discovered. At this moment, Su Yi was adjusting his breathing while activating the Origin Supreme technique. He was checking the heavenly Fei ancient scripture that he had just obtained. There was no doubt that the Tian Yao school was not simple. It had attracted so many powerful enemies, including the people of the sacred mountain and the ancient demon Venerable. This was enough to explain everything. Su Yi was naturally filled with curiosity after obtaining the heavenly Fei ancient scripture that the previous sect master had painstakingly left behind. When he obtained it, he did not have the time to study it. Now was the time to comprehend it. The image of the heavenly demon, the image of 10,000 beasts, the image of 10,000 beasts, the image of creation, the image of creation, the image of heaven, earth, and man. Heaven and earth are enshrouded in mist, all living things turn into alcohol, the image of the elephant is directly red, the function of the hidden. The greatest simplicity is the profound principle, the unification of the five elements becomes the myriad of phenomena, the three of heaven, earth, and man become one, the rotation of the stars changes the battle, the setting of the universe, the strange door of the Een disk, the chi of heaven and earth, 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 the chi of heaven and earth. If the color is empty and formless, then it is not the real trace of the five elements, heaven and earth people. Since the five elements, heaven and earth people, must be balanced, not more, not less, not biased, not hurried, not slow, not present, not absent, not close, not impatient, not cowardly. For example, wood generates fire, fire generates earth, earth generates metal, metal generates water, water generates wood. Perhaps using wood to generate fire, perhaps using fire to sense earth, perhaps using gold and earth, perhaps transforming gold into water. Inside and outside the Tao, heaven, earth, and man as one, the demonic elephant is formed from nothingness, the image of the heavenly demon, shocking heaven and earth, making ghosts and gods weep. And when he read the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra in his mind, Su Yi's aura began to stir. The shock in his mind was indescribable. The night passed very quickly. When the darkness before dawn had passed, the eastern horizon had just begun to brighten. In the deep and slightly white sky, there were still a few scattered stars. The valley was pitch black and was shrouded in a mysterious thin light. The vast blue dome of heaven reflected the bronze horizon in the distance. There were many figures in the valley, their yuan qi fluctuating around them, emitting all kinds of colorful radiance. At a certain moment, Su Yi suddenly opened his eyes. The yuan qi radiance around his body converged, but the light in his eyes did not dissipate for a long time. His face was filled with shock, as though he was unable to recover from his shock for a long time. Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra, Su Yi murmured. He was truly shaken to the core. From his reading of the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra, Su Yi learned how all-encompassing and powerful the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra was. It was no wonder it was left behind by the previous sect master of the Tian Yao school. Su Yi had seen the Savage Sutra and the Heavenly Tiger art. They were the strongest cultivation techniques cultivated by the wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters. They were extremely powerful. Chapter 289. However, for some unknown reason, Su Yi had seen the might of the Desolation Sutra and Heavenly Tiger technique. Although they were powerful, they seemed to be lacking something compared to the Desolation Sutra and Heavenly Tiger technique recorded in the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra. The demon spirit truth was something Su Yi had read from the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra. The Heavenly Tiger technique was force, the Desolation Sutra was force, and the demon spirit truth was spirit. The Sky Fei phenomenon is the phenomenon of 10,000 beasts. The phenomenon of 10,000 beasts is the phenomenon of creation. The phenomenon of creation is heaven, earth, and man, Su Yi muttered to himself as his eyes were filled with shock. Force is heaven, force is earth, spirit is man, heaven is force, earth is force, man is spirit ancestor. The wild bear tribe cultivated in the Desolation Sutra, while the tribe of tiger hunters cultivated in the Heavenly Tiger technique. Without any surprises, the demon spirit truth was likely a cultivation technique cultivated in the spirit ancient village. And what shocked Su Yi the most was that according to what he had read from the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra, the most shocking thing in the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra was not the Desolation Sutra, Heavenly Tiger technique, or demon spirit truth, but the Sky Fei phenomenon. If one could cultivate the Sky Fei phenomenon to phenomenal mastery, it was enough to shock the world and make ghosts and gods weep. How could Su Yi not be shocked by such a cultivation technique? And from what Su Yi had read from the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra, the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra was indeed extremely terrifying. However, what made Su Yi feel even more horrified was the Sky Fei phenomenon in the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra. The Sky Fei phenomenon made Su Yi draw a cold gasp. After understanding it in detail, Su Yi understood why the descendants of the Tian Yao school like the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the wild bear tribe were unable to obtain the greatest benefit from the Heaven Fei Grotto, which was the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra. It turned out that the conditions for cultivating the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra were extremely harsh. It was a lot harsher than becoming a soul controller. This was because the first condition for cultivating the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra was to become a soul controller. The Heavenly Fei Ancient Sutra was based on the Savage Sutra, the Heavenly Tiger art, and the Demon Spirit truth. The Savage scripture was strength, the Heavenly Tiger technique was power, and the demon spirit truth was spirit. It meant that the cultivation of the ancient Heaven Fei Sutra not only required the cultivation of one's body, but also the cultivation of one's soul. Generally speaking, if a soul controller's soul power was strong, it would lean towards the soul. Their physical body would be much weaker, and they wouldn't have much time to cultivate their physical body. The Heavenly Fei Ancient Sutra was extremely harsh on one's body and soul. It was not something an ordinary soul controller could do. Soul controllers were extremely rare in the first place. Their soul power was far beyond that of alchemists or refiners. Furthermore, ordinary soul controllers were not capable of this task. In addition, a soul controller with a strong physical body would be even more difficult. And all these harsh conditions were because of the Heaven Fei phenomenon in the Heaven Fei Ancient Sutra. Kane Chi is formless and formless. It can't be seen, heard, or fought for. Comes from the void. Myriad beasts appear illusory when they are real, 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 appear illusory when they are real. True yin and true yang when they are illusory, appear illusory when they are illusory. The Heaven Fei phenomenon can shake the heavens and shake the earth. Su-yi muttered softly as the shock in his eyes lingered. The Heaven Fei phenomenon could shake the heavens and shake the earth. Soul controllers could condense remnant souls, and with their own strength, they could summon remnant souls of the world. They could be warriors or fey. By summoning them, they could be used by the soul controller. The strongest soul controllers could summon remnant souls of ancient experts. How powerful was that? It could be said that if one had a choice, they would rather offend an alchemist than a soul controller. That was because soul controllers were very powerful to begin with. As for the Heaven Fei phenomenon, it was to summon remnant souls. Not only could they be used, they could also fuse with them. Some of the powerful barbaric demonic beasts had their own unique talents, and these talents were usually extremely powerful. When ordinary soul controllers summoned remnant souls, they could only obtain the remnant souls to be used by them. How terrifying were these remnant souls! As for the Heaven Fei phenomenon, it could fuse with the remnant souls. Ordinary soul controllers could only summon remnant souls. Although they were terrifying, these remnant souls did not have much spiritual intelligence. They could only rely on their instincts to fight against their opponent. The Heaven Fei phenomenon could fuse with the remnant souls. It could allow the soul controllers to fuse with the remnant souls. It was as if they could transform into a remnant soul expert. For example, summoning the remnant soul of a powerful barbaric heavenly leopard. Ordinary soul controllers could only use the remnant soul to fight against their opponents. As for the Heaven Fei phenomenon, it could allow the soul controllers to fuse with the barbaric heavenly leopard. They could activate the innate skills of the barbaric heavenly leopard. It was equivalent to temporarily becoming a barbaric heavenly leopard. One relied on instincts to fight, while the other could fuse with one's own strength. The difference between the two was obvious. As for the 10,000 Fei phenomenon, that was not the most terrifying aspect. It was said that after fusing with a remnant soul expert, one could gain insights into the remnant soul expert's strength if they were talented enough. When the time came, they could use it for their own use. If one could summon an ancient flood dragon and gain insights, they would obtain the flood dragon's strength. In the future, there would be no need to summon a remnant soul. They could use the ancient flood dragon's strength themselves. How powerful and terrifying would that be? Ancient Heavenly Fei Sutra. Su-yi was alarmed. It was no wonder the Tianyao school was not simple. It was able to attract the attention of so many super experts. They wanted to obtain what was left behind by the Tianyao school. The ancient Heavenly Fei Sutra was indeed enough to attract the attention of all the experts in the world. The ancient Heavenly Fei Sutra was not only a cultivation technique, it was also all-encompassing. There were quite a number of martial techniques, such as the ice shadow sword art, that Su Yi had seen Shangguan Qinfeng use. Came from the demon spirit truth. There were also some martial techniques used by Xiong Lai, Xiong Zhan, Hu Qi, Hu Mo, and Hu Yu. They all came from the heavenly tiger art and the savage scripture. However, according to what Su Yi knew from the ancient Heavenly Fei Sutra, the savage scripture, heavenly tiger art, and demon spirit truth contained martial techniques and might that far exceeded the might displayed by Shangguan Qinfeng, Hu Qi, and Xiong Zhan. They should have been much stronger. What an impressive ancient Heavenly Fei Sutra! Su Yi was unable to calm down for a long time. If it were any ordinary cultivation technique, even if it was an extremely powerful one, Su Yi would definitely not be so shocked. Su Yi knew that the primordial chaos supreme technique came from the mysterious blob of light in his mind. Everything about him was related to the primordial chaos supreme technique. And the might displayed by the primordial chaos supreme technique was enough to surpass the ancient Heavenly Fei Sutra. It could be said that regardless of the cultivation technique, Su Yi would definitely not choose to truly cultivate in it. The primordial chaos supreme technique was everything to him. Vaguely, Su Yi had the confidence that the primordial chaos supreme technique he had was enough to surpass all the cultivation techniques in the world. Chapter 290. Su Yi was pondering. If he could cultivate the image of 10,000 demons in the Heavenly Fei ancient scripture, he would be able to improve his soul controller skills. This was also the most terrifying and powerful technique in the Heavenly Fei ancient scripture. Brother Isu, how's your recovery? Shangguan Rock and the others stepped forward. They had all stopped their breathing exercises and came forward to interrupt Su Yi's thoughts. I'm fine now. Su Yi came back to his senses and looked at everyone. After taking the healing elixir, he had recovered a lot overnight. This had a lot to do with the healing elixir, but it was also enough to prove that the savage scripture, demon spirit insight, heavenly tiger technique, and other techniques were all extraordinary. Also, my name is Su Yi. Isu is just a pseudonym. Please forgive me. Su Yi stood up and cupped his fists in apology, reverting to his real name. S2. You, Isu, Su Yi. Haha, so they're all the same. Shangguan Yi and the others laughed and didn't mind. Let's continue on our way and gather everyone as soon as possible. Su Tianke also stopped his breathing exercises and stretched his featherless short wings like a rooster about to crow in the morning. No matter how one looked at it, they couldn't help but laugh. However, no one dared to laugh. Everyone was still immersed in grief and didn't have the heart to laugh. Everyone continued on their way, heading towards the secret location arranged by the Tian Yao school to gather the people who had gone ahead. This was the savage demon forest. There were many savage demons along the way, and their cultivation levels were getting stronger. Fortunately, Su Yi's primordial origin supreme technique was useful. It's so strange. Why did these savage demons retreat without a fight? Someone was shocked and couldn't help but ask. There were so many savage demons along the way, and many of them were experts in the demon true realm. There were even a few experts in the demon illusory realm. However, they retreated in front of Su Yi without a fight. How could this not be shocking? Brother Su Yi is extraordinary, there's no need to make a fuss. Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yi, and the others spoke, their faces filled with pride. We are all descendants of Tian Yao School, descendants of Tian Yao School. Tian Yao School? Did our ancestors all come from Tian Yao School? Why have they been living in seclusion all this time? On the way, some people began to talk. Almost all the people present were very young. The oldest ones were only 34 years old. They had only recently found out that they were all descendants of Tian Yao School. Where did those great enemies come from? Why are they trying to kill us all? The demon venerable is dead, and so are the 2 demon emperors on the demon mountain. Even if we know the origins of our enemies, how are we going to take revenge? Everyone was grieving, but they were also quite clear that even their protector, the demon Venerable, and the 2 demon emperors on the demon mountain had died. They had witnessed the strength of those great enemies with their own eyes. Even if they knew who their enemies were, their chances of revenge were slim. We must become strong, and we must take revenge. We must make those people pay with their blood. Even if we can't beat them, we must make them pay the absolute price. Xiongzhan said. There were bloodstains on his arms, shoulders, and body. He had made a move, but he was no match for them. Just the aftermath of those great enemies' attacks had almost killed him. Only then did he realize how terrifying those powerhouses were. However, Xiongzhan was not discouraged. He was still young, and he must become strong in the future to avenge his dead family members. Yes, we are still alive. When we become strong in the future, we must make them pay with their blood, Hu Qi said. His battle clothes were ragged and his face was pale. However, the cold light in his eyes was gone. They were like the eyes of a tiger. Blood for blood. Shangguan Rock's teeth were filled with coldness. His father, mother, and so many uncles and villagers who had watched him grow up had been killed mercilessly by those people. How could he not take revenge? Su-yi did not speak. His eyes swept over the young people around him, and there was a slight fluctuation in his eyes. The demon Venerable said that our heavenly demon Venerable has a new school master. In the end, someone mentioned the new school master of the Tian Yao school. The demon Venerable had said it, and everyone had heard it with their own ears. That day in the heavenly demon cave, there was a terrifying phenomenon. Is it related to that? A middle-aged man pondered. That time in the heavenly demon cave, it was Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yi, and you, right? Hu Mo said. He looked at Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yi, and the others. There was no need to guess. It was Shangguan Rock and the others who had been in the heavenly demon cave at that time. The scene in the heavenly demon cave was terrifying. If one continued to infer, it might be related to the people in the heavenly demon cave. Following Hu Mo's words, all eyes fell on Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Yi, Su-yi, and the others. Everyone probably knew that these were the first group of people from Spirit Ancient Village to enter the heavenly demon cave. Including some people from Spirit Ancient Village, at this moment they also looked at Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others. At that time, it was indeed these people who had been in the heavenly demon cave. Did the new school master really fall on them? The new school master, at this moment, Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Rock, and the others were looking at each other. They had been in the heavenly demon cave at that time, but they did not know what had happened outside, nor did they hear the demon Venerable's words. Their expressions were slightly stunned. What's going on? Shangguan Shiwei was quite puzzled. She didn't know much, and the Tian Yao school only knew about it during the battle. Everyone roughly explained the situation to Shangguan Shiwei and the others. Then, they asked, did anything unusual happen in the heavenly monster cave? Who obtained the greatest benefits from the heavenly monster cave? Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Yi, and the others' eyes were filled with shock. They looked at each other, and then their eyes fell on Su-yi. They had seen the reaction in the heavenly demon cave at that time, and only Su-yi had an unusual reaction. Su-yi had been smiling bitterly, and he did not say much. Su Tian-Ke followed the crowd and said to everyone, Tian Yao School's juniors, you don't have to guess anymore. He is already the new school master of your Tian Yao School. The new school master. Everyone stopped in their tracks, and their eyes fell on Su-yi in shock. Is it really him? Many people were shocked, and they secretly discussed it. Although there was no way to confirm it, it was not difficult to know that this matter was probably not far from the truth. No one would have thought that the new school master of the Tian Yao school would be an outsider in the end. Everyone, let's hurry up and meet up with the others first, Sui said softly. Everyone looked at each other, and they could not help but be shocked. Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Yi, and the others' eyes also surged with emotions. Roar! Suddenly, the mountain in front of them trembled, and the dense forest shook, and there was a shocking roar of a beast. Another powerful barbaric demon beast. Chapter 291. Su Yi and Su Tianke both looked in the direction of the commotion. Soon, a gigantic barbaric demon beast appeared in front of everyone's eyes. It was about 40 to 50 feet tall, and it looked like a lion or a tiger. Its body was as sturdy as a mountain, and its head was round and large. Its entire body was crimson red, and its entire body seemed to be covered with a layer of thin crimson armor. On its shoulders and chest, there was a long mane that extended all the way to its shoulders and chest. Such a gigantic savage beast gave people the impression that it was still a baby savage beast. However, its aura was already ferocious and intimidating, as if it was a king. Azure Wave Gold Beast. When such a savage beast appeared, many people in the crowd couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Their expressions changed drastically. Azure Wave Gold Beast. Su Yi's gaze also trembled violently. The Azure Wave Gold Beast wasn't an ordinary savage beast. In terms of bloodline, it was much more powerful than the barbaric Heavenly Leopard. It was a true member of the demon race. Any Azure Wave Gold Beast was destined to become a powerhouse from the moment they were born. As for the Azure Wave Gold Beast before him, Su Yi estimated that its aura was at the demon spirit realm. However, its aura was in a mess. Its hair was dyed red with blood, and upon closer inspection, the tiny red scales on its body were covered with blood. It seemed to have suffered a serious injury. The Azure Wave Gold Beast galloped from the top of the mountain. When it suddenly saw so many humans in front of it, it was a little startled. Its gigantic body stopped and stared at Su Yi and the others with its ferocious red eyes. Boom! Without any hesitation, Su Yi activated the Origin Supreme technique, hoping to scare the Azure Wave Gold Beast away. Roar! Suddenly sensing Su Yi's aura, the Azure Wave Gold Beast, which was still in shock, stared at Su Yi. Its ferocious eyes surged and it let out a low growl. It was asking Su Yi if he was a human or a savage beast. Clearly, the Azure Water Crimson Gold Beast was shocked by Su Yi. The human's aura was very strange. It carried the pressure of the demon clan. However, he was in human form. If he was really a member of the demon clan, he would be an expert at the demon royal realm. Roar! Before Su Yi could reply, another thunderous beast roar rang out. The ground in front of them shook as another huge beast rushed over. Boom! Boom! The ground trembled and shattered rocks shot out. Several gigantic barbaric demonic beasts appeared. Their bodies glowed brightly and their ferocious auras swept across the land. A massive golden creature appeared, dyeing the surrounding light golden. Its ferocious eyes were incomparably cold, like two blood-red lanterns, flowing with a terrifying gaze. The big beast was staring at the cold wave-red gold beast, but it seemed to have sensed Su Yi's presence. It immediately landed on Su Yi. When the huge creature saw Su Yi, its ferocious eyes changed color. It was a strange beast. Its entire body was golden. It was a huge scorpion. It wasn't as tall as the cold wave-red gold beast, but it was much longer. It was more than 30 meters long. The huge golden tail on its back shone with a cold light, and its ferocious aura was shocking. It made people's hair stand on end. Behind this strange beast, there were 3 other gigantic savage beasts. Even though their auras were not as strong as the one in front, which had the aura of a king of savage beasts, their cultivation auras were much stronger. They were all at the demon true realm. Among them, the Azure Leopard had the strongest aura. It wasn't far from the demon illusionary realm. Ancient golden patterned scorpion. However, Su Yi's attention was attracted by the first barbaric beast. It was a golden-patterned scorpion. It was also a demon cub, but its bloodline was on par with the cold wave red gold beast. The golden-patterned scorpion let out a deep roar. It looked at Su Yi's aura, and after it recovered from its shock, it felt strange. But in the end, the golden-patterned scorpion wasn't completely intimidated. It glanced at the people behind Su Yi, and a murderous look appeared in its eyes. It was delighted. These people were all humans. They were enough to feast on. "Who are you?" The golden-patterned scorpion roared in beast language. It stared at Su Yi, wanting to make sure. "You better not provoke me," Su Yi said in a deep voice. Being able to understand beast language, the aura of the Origin Supreme technique on his body became stronger. However, his face darkened. There were a few demon true realm barbaric beasts in front of him. Although there were 3 of them who were older and had reached the Yuan true realm, if they really fought, the wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. Instead, they would be at a disadvantage. When they sensed Su Yi's aura, the azure dipper leopard and the others were instantly affected and trembled. "You know beast language. Could it be that you—" The golden-patterned scorpion's face changed. Lin Yun actually knew beast language. Could it be that he was a demon emperor? But it didn't seem like it. "I can sense that your aura is strange. You should be a human. You're pretty bold to come to the barbaric demon forest." The golden-patterned scorpion roared in beast language. It seemed to have noticed something. Although it was affected by Su Yi's aura, it was able to block it. "Since you dare to provoke me, I'll kill you." Su Yi pretended to be calm. If he really fought, he wouldn't be able to gain any advantage. This was the barbaric demon forest, where barbaric beasts were everywhere. The consequences would be dire. "I'll deal with my enemy first. Then, I'll slowly enjoy you humans." The golden-patterned scorpion glared at Su Yi coldly. It then ordered the azure dipper leopard and the other 3 demon true realm barbaric beasts to guard Su Yi and the others. It wanted to deal with the azure wave scarlet gold beast personally. "You ambushed me secretly and injured me. Shameless. I won't let you go." The azure wave scarlet gold beast roared in beast language. It was enraged. It was only injured because it was ambushed. "You won't have the chance." The golden-patterned scorpion sneered. A golden aura spread out from its body. However, it also carried a bloody aura. It made people feel as if they could see a sea of blood and corpses in front of them. "This is troublesome." Su Yi stared at the 3 demon true realm beasts that were already staring at him, and the others. He was on high alert as he focused his attention on them. RY Original Edition PU First. Release Su Yi found it strange that the ancient golden-patterned scorpion was unable to completely suppress the golden-patterned scorpion with the Origin Supreme art. He guessed that it might have something to do with the golden-patterned scorpion's bloodline. Boom! The golden-patterned scorpion moved. Its aura was terrifying. As its body moved, the ground around it trembled. Its 10-meter-long body emitted a faint scarlet light and a bloody aura. Roar! Chapter 292. Shangguan Rock and the others trembled when they saw the 2 demon race cubs fighting. The azure water gold beast and the ancient golden-patterned scorpion were both very powerful. The azure water gold beast roared and stretched out a red claw towards the ancient golden-patterned scorpion. The claws shook the air, and the surrounding mountain rocks were crushed into powder. Its power was blazing and fierce. The ancient golden-patterned scorpion didn't dodge. It raised its pincers and met the attack head-on. LW. N version H starter hashtag, the 2 clashed and a fire-attributed aura and light spread out in all directions. Around the 2nd tier of the demon spirit realm. Su Yi was shocked. The ancient golden-patterned scorpion's cultivation was around the 2nd tier of the demon spirit realm. It was also a cub, but its aura was much stronger than the azure water gold beast. The azure water gold beast was already heavily injured, so it was suppressed by the ancient golden-patterned scorpion. Sure enough, the azure water gold beast's huge body retreated a long distance, but the ancient golden-patterned scorpion only took a few steps back. At the same time, the barbs on its back emitted a cold light and shot towards the azure water gold beast like an arrow. The azure water gold beast seemed to know the ancient golden-patterned scorpion very well. It was already prepared. Although its body was huge, it was very agile and avoided the barbs. The ancient golden-patterned scorpion's tail smashed into a huge rock and blew it apart. It was powerful and violent. The azure water gold beast's eyes turned serious. The ancient golden-patterned scorpion had 3 demon true realm brute demon beasts by its side. It was in a dangerous situation and couldn't fight them head-on. However, the ancient golden-patterned scorpion's attacks were swift and fierce. It continuously suppressed the azure water gold beast. Its barbed tail and pincers swept in all directions, crushing many towering trees and huge rocks. This is troublesome. Sui was deep in thought. This was the barbaric demon forest, where brute demon beasts were everywhere. The situation was already very dangerous. The ancient golden-patterned scorpion didn't seem to want to let them go. If it attracted more brute demon beasts, the situation would be even more dangerous. They had to find a way to escape as soon as possible. Swish, the azure water gold beast was getting more and more confused. Finally, it was pierced by the tail. Its tough scales were like armor, but it still bled and its injuries worsened. Chi-La, however, at this moment Sui suddenly moved. Yuan Qi gushed out from the soles of his feet, and his figure flashed like a series of illusions. With an unbelievable speed, he pounced on the golden-patterned ancient scorpion before the 3 demon true realm brute beasts could react. The golden-patterned ancient scorpion wanted to continue suppressing the blue wave gold beast, but it suddenly sensed Su Yi's movement. Its murderous eyes were instantly filled with blood-red murderous intent. The scorpion's large and powerful pincers slammed down like a pair of scissors towards Su Yi. Overlord Fist. Su Yi was prepared for this. When he appeared, he didn't retreat when he faced the giant scorpion pincer. Instead, he advanced. His face turned ferocious and his veins bulged. He shouted in his heart and raised his right fist to meet the scorpion pincer head-on. Compared to the scorpion's pincers, his fist was insignificant. However, a terrifying Yuan Qi power erupted like a volcano and exploded in front of Su Yi's fist. Everything happened in the blink of an eye. Su Yi's fist, which was glowing brightly, seemed to have swelled up. The sound of wind and thunder could be heard, like the rumbling of thunder. It was as if an overlord had awakened, and a huge pressure of an emperor was about to descend. Boom! Such a collision caused sand and stones to fly and the ground to tremble slightly. Crack, crack! Cracks appeared on the scorpion pincer and it bounced off. Then, Su Yi stomped his foot on the ground and the earth attribute Yuan Qi gathered under his right foot. 8 Barren Fury, suppressing the mountains and rivers with 1 foot. Su Yi's voice was like thunder. Suddenly, a dazzling light flashed in his eyes like lightning. His hair fluttered behind him, and his aura seemed to carry the fury of thunder. His right foot suddenly stepped out and a Yuan Qi vortex swept out like a storm. In a short moment, Su Yi stomped his foot on the ground. Boom! The ground trembled and the air roared. Awoo! The 3 demon true realm brute demons were about to pounce forward when they saw Su Yi dashing out. However, under such an aura, they immediately trembled and roared, their bodies crawling in fear. Rumble, from where Su Yi's foot landed, circles of black earth attribute Yuan Qi energy swept out like waves. The ground cracked and cracks as thick as an arm spread out like a spider web, attacking the ancient golden-patterned scorpion. The ancient golden-patterned scorpion's expression changed greatly. Its huge body staggered and its fierce eyes were filled with shock. Under the impact of the huge force, it continuously staggered back and spat out blood. Awooh! But this ancient golden-patterned scorpion was indeed a cub of the demon clan. As it spat out blood, the cold barbs on its back were like arrows, piercing through the air and piercing towards Su-Yi amidst the sound of rushing wind. Su-Yi's eyes twitched. He did not expect this ancient golden-patterned scorpion to still be able to attack after continuously resisting his overlord fist and 8 desolation fury. He could not delay any longer and had to end the battle quickly. Taking advantage of the situation, he extended his hands and covered them with Yuan Qi. Yuan Qi condensation. This guy broke through to the origin spirit stage. Hu Qi, Xiongzhan and the rest were shocked. Yuan Qi condensation was the mark of an origin profound stage practitioner. As for the external condensation of Yuan Qi, that was the mark of an essence spirit realm practitioner. Yuan Qi condensation and Yuan Qi condensation were two completely different concepts. In the recent large competition, everyone knew that Su-Yi had broken through from the 6th level of the Origin Profound stage to the 8th level of the Origin Profound stage. This was already terrifying enough. However, in such a short period of time, Su-Yi had actually reached the 1st level of the Origin Spirit stage. Gulp gulp, some people swallowed their saliva. Only Origin Spirit stage practitioners were able to achieve the step of Yuan Qi condensation. Could this guy's cultivation speed be flying? How was he going to let others live? Scarlet Yuan Qi covered his hand, making it look sparkling and translucent. This was Su-Yi's first real attack after breaking through to the Origin Spirit stage. With a shake of his hand and a step forward, Su-Yi's figure rapidly advanced instead of retreating. Taking advantage of the momentum, his 5 fingers slightly curled as he directly grabbed onto the cold, glinting barbed tail of the ancient golden-patterned scorpion. Using his strength, he fiercely raised his hand, tightly hugging the giant tail as he madly swung it around. Walala, the ancient golden-patterned scorpion's several dozen feet long body was covered in scarlet and blood-red light. However, at this moment, its gigantic beast body was directly lifted into the air by Su-Yi's tiny figure, as it was involuntarily swung in circles in the air. Such a scene left Shangguan Rock, Hu Qi, Xiongzhan and the rest dumbfounded. Such a gigantic ancient golden-patterned scorpion was actually being swung in circles. The azure wave scarlet gold beast's eyes also widened in shock. The person in front of it should be a human, but he was so terrifying. They were the cubs of the Fey race, but this tiny human seemed to be more like a Fey race cub than them. Bang bang. Chapter 293. Crack crack, the ground cracked and rocks flew. The golden-patterned ancient scorpion coughed out blood. Its eyes were glazed over and it could no longer crawl. Swish! Su-Yi leaped up and landed on the back of the golden-patterned ancient scorpion. He unsheathed his spiritual weapon and pointed it at the scorpion's head. Goo goo, the azure wave golden beast was also dumbfounded. Its eyes were filled with shock. The human in front of it was too ferocious. Awoo, at this moment, the 3 demon true stage brute beasts finally regained their senses. They roared and moved with fear in their eyes. If the young master in front of them died, they would be in trouble when they returned. Evil creatures, do you want it to die? Su-Yi's eyes were red as he stared at the 3 demon true realm brute demon beasts with the Origin Supreme technique. Most WI new chapter section super 4. Awoo! The 3 demon true realm brute demon beasts roared, but they didn't dare to take a step forward. Take it away and don't provoke us again. Otherwise I'll kill it, Su-Yi said to the 3 demon true realm brute demon beasts. He didn't want to kill the golden-patterned ancient scorpion. This was the barbaric demon forest, and the golden-patterned ancient scorpion was a demon cub. There was definitely an expert behind it. With so many people around, Su-yi didn't dare to kill the golden-patterned ancient scorpion, but he had to do it. Therefore, Su-yi wanted to restrain the golden-patterned ancient scorpion in exchange for everyone's safety. At least, they could leave this place first. Awu, the three demon true realm brute demon beasts nodded. They had no other choice. Su-yi believed the three demon true realm brute demon beasts. The golden-patterned ancient scorpion seemed to be their master. Now that the golden-patterned ancient scorpion was heavily injured, the three demon true realm brute demon beasts didn't dare to attack again. Just as Su-yi expected, the three demon true realm brute demon beasts left with the golden-patterned ancient scorpion. "Thank you, human." Seeing the golden-patterned ancient scorpion leave, the azure wave golden beast roared and spoke to Su-yi in beast language. It looked at Su-yi with shock. Soon, the azure wave gold beast's huge body began to shrink. Its body was covered in a golden color, and it was only about 10 feet long. It was several times smaller than before. As expected of a demon cub, Su-yi didn't find it strange. There was a huge difference between a demon cub and an ordinary demon beast. Some powerful demon race youngsters could shrink their bodies. This was extremely beneficial to their cultivation and energy consumption. There's no need to be so courteous. We were just trying to protect ourselves. Let's part ways here. We'll mind our own business, Su-yi said. He didn't want to interact with the azure water crimson gold beast. Wait, the cold water crimson gold beast stopped Su-yi. There was some light in its eyes as it said, "You are humans. It's not safe here. You saved me, and I have nothing to repay you with. Keep this. If you run into any trouble in this area, take it out. It might be useful." The azure wave golden beast's chest glowed, and an ray of red light appeared in front of Su-yi. Su-yi reached out and caught it. It was an exceptionally bright red mane. It glowed and had a beast's aura. "My name is Chi-yen. If you take this item and say my name in this area, you will have some face. If we have the chance to meet again in the future, I will thank you for your help." The azure wave golden beast turned and left. This azure wave golden beast's bloodline is not low. Su Tianke watched from the side without any intention of interfering. What did the azure wave golden beast say? Seeing the azure wave golden beast leave, Shangguan Rock, Xiongzhan, and Hu Qi walked to Su-yi's side curiously. They didn't understand the language of beasts, but they could tell that the azure wave golden beast was thanking Su-yi for his help. "It's nothing. We have to leave this place quickly. Otherwise, we'll be in big trouble." Su-yi put away the mane. At the same time, he took out an elixir and stuffed it into his mouth. He had used up a lot of energy just now to suppress the golden-patterned ancient scorpion. Then, the group sped up and left. They had just severely injured a golden-patterned ancient scorpion. That was a demon true realm brute demon beast. There must be an expert behind it. They knew that they couldn't stay here for long and had to leave as soon as possible. After a day and a night, they passed through many mountains. Su-yi finally led the group to their destination. This was a ravine within the boundless mountain range. Moreover, it was filled with mist. However, there was a completely different world within it. It was a paradise that was large enough to allow over 1,000 people to live here. "How's the clan?" When they saw Hu Qi, Xiongzhan, Su-yi, and the others arrive, there were already over 200 people surrounding them. Almost all of them were young children and young girls. The older ones were only 12 or 13 years old. They were the future of the Spirit Ancient Village, the Wild Bear Tribe, and the tribe of tiger hunters. There were a few experts in charge in this group. The strongest among them were 3 old men who had just reached the first level of the Origin Void stage. They originally wanted to live and die together with their home, but their responsibility was even greater to protect the future of the various clans. Woo-woo, gathering everyone was originally a happy thing. However, when they heard the question at this moment, some people couldn't hold it in anymore. They shed tears and told everyone about the situation. Why did it turn out like this? Are they all dead? Why are those people so ruthless? Father, mother. Instantly, the entire place was filled with tears and grief. Some of the youths cried and wanted to go out and take revenge, but they were stopped by the experts of the various clans. Their eyes were also wet as they said, "You're still too young. You're not their match. You're the future, the hope. Only when you're strong one day can you take revenge." After a long time, the young children finally calmed down. They were all filled with grief. Let's settle down first. The 3 Origin Void Realm experts were all in their 40s, one from each of the Spirit Ancient Village, the Hunting Tiger Tribe, and the Barbarian Bear Tribe. They asked everyone to settle down first. "I'm afraid this place isn't particularly safe. We need to leave as soon as possible." Su-yi spoke. The purpose of gathering everyone was that he was afraid this place wouldn't be too safe. Those great enemies were bent on getting the things left behind by the Tian Yao school. Seeing Su Tianke lead everyone away, they definitely wouldn't give up. Once those great enemies found this place, it would be a disaster. The Tian Yao school couldn't withstand any more disasters. This place is a secret place that our ancestors have been searching for generations. We stored a lot of food and cultivation resources just in case such a day would come. This place isn't unsafe for now. Besides, we don't have anywhere else to go. You're an outsider, so don't say too much. The expert from the Wild Bear tribe spoke. His name was Xiong Lu, and he was Xiong Zhan's uncle. This was a matter of the Wild Bear tribe. He wouldn't listen to an outsider. If it weren't for the fact that he knew how amazing Su-yi was during the competition, he probably wouldn't have bothered to reply. Uncle Lu, Xiongzhan, Xiong-lai, and the others wanted to say something, but Su-yi waved his hand to stop them. He nodded and said, "Then let's settle down here first. We can talk about other things later." Chapter 294. Seeing that Su-yi didn't say anything, Su Tianke didn't say anything either. He walked straight in with his short legs and looked around curiously. After that, everyone followed the other clansmen of their respective clans to settle down. This place was very secluded. Every generation of Tian Yao School's ancestors had cleaned it up. They had stored a lot of food and cultivation resources, repaired many houses, and opened up many caves for people to live in. It was enough for thousands of people to settle down here. Now, there were only about 300 people left in Tian Yao School. Most of them were young children. If nothing unexpected happened, they could stay here for several years. Su-yi settled down and lived in a house with the remaining people of Spirit Ancient Village. Although the house was a little simple, it was enough for them to live in. Shangguan Rock, Shangguan Yu, Shangguan Shiwei, and the others went to meet with the villagers who had come first to inform them of the current situation in Spirit Ancient Village. YF Chapter 2. First edition. Su-yi stayed in the house. He sat in his room with a solemn expression. This place wasn't too far from where Tian Yao School used to be. Although it was very secluded, it was definitely not a safe place. They needed to leave as soon as possible. However, Su-yi knew that if they left this place, these 300 people, all of whom were young, needed protection. Where could they go in the barbaric demon forest? Su-yi still hadn't come to his senses after suddenly becoming the new sect master of Tian Yao School. However, he had already obtained the ancient heavenly face scripture and planned to cultivate the techniques in it. No matter what, Su-yi knew that he had to shoulder this responsibility. With Su-yi's personality, even if he wasn't the new sect master of Tian Yao School, how could Su-yi leave so many young children and young men and women of Spirit Ancient Village behind when he was around? Although he was still very insignificant with Su-yi's personality, he would at least do his best. Moreover, he was now the new suzerain of Tian Yao School. Su-yi had this kind of responsibility in his heart. He had to bear this responsibility. Although this place is hidden, it's not too safe. What do you plan to do? Su Tianke jumped onto a chair and leaned against it. He lifted his head and asked Su-yi. I have nowhere to go at the moment. Su-yi smiled bitterly. Not to mention where they could go with more than 300 people, they were still in the barbaric devil forest. More than 300 people were still rookies. They couldn't even take care of themselves, so there was no place for them to stay. This is the barbaric devil forest, the territory of the demon clan. Most of the enemies of the Tian Yao school are humans. Last time, they suddenly came to fight and caused a huge commotion. I'm afraid that the experts of the demon clan have already been alerted. Those experts want to come again. After all, this is the barbaric devil forest's territory. I'm afraid that they will have absolute scruples. Perhaps this place can still be safe for a while. Su Tianke was much more relaxed. He said to Su-yi, I think that this is the barbaric devil forest. With so many people suddenly appearing here, I'm afraid that the barbaric devil beasts will discover us. What we should be worried about now is that we should be on guard against those barbaric devil beasts. Su-yi's eyes narrowed. Su Diank's words were not without reason. With so many people suddenly appearing here, no matter how hidden this place was, it would be difficult to avoid being discovered by all the barbaric devil beasts. To the barbaric devil beasts, humans were just food. Let's settle down for now. I have to think of a way. In the end, Sui said this. He could only slowly think of a foolproof plan. The setting sun shone brightly at dusk. Many older youths from the Spirit Ancient Village, as well as the Origin Void Realm cultivator who looked to be in his 50s, came to Su-yi. They had heard from Shangguan Shiwei, Shangguan Rock, and the others that Su-yi had become the new schoolmaster. As for the Tian Yao school and the new schoolmaster, they had already heard about it from the Demon Venerable before they left. However, they did not expect that Su-yi would become the new schoolmaster of the Tian Yao school. Cool. Master, some of the youths hesitated whether they should salute or not. The Origin Void Realm old man was also hesitating. At this moment, only a group of young people from the Spirit Ancient Village was left. All the powerhouses and elders had died. For such a big matter, they did not know how to deal with it. When they left, they found out that the Spirit Ancient Village, the tribe of tiger hunters, and the Wild Bear tribe all belonged to the Tian Yao school and had a common ancestor. It's okay, Elder Shangguan. Is there a quiet place here? I would like to cultivate in seclusion for a few days. Su-yi smiled faintly. He did not need the others to salute him as he spoke to the Origin Void Realm old man. Su-yi already knew this old man. His name was Shangguan Su, and he was now the last remaining elder of the Spirit Ancient Village. Yes, there is. It's quiet and suitable for seclusion. No one will disturb you. Shangguan Su did not know how to choose. He did not know if he should acknowledge the new school master of the Tian Yao school. After all, this was a big matter. However, it was easy to find a quiet place for him to cultivate in seclusion. This place had been taken care of by the ancestors for many generations. Everything had been arranged long ago. Su-yi nodded. He wanted to cultivate in seclusion for a few days to sort out his thoughts. He also wanted to think about what to do next and where to take everyone. It's just a little hard for everyone to accept. Maybe it will be better after a while. Please don't be offended. After a while, Shangguan Shiwei found Su-yi, who was alone with her, and spoke to Su-yi privately. She knew that not only was the new school master unfamiliar to everyone, but they were also unfamiliar with the Tian Yao school. I understand. It's okay. Su-yi smiled helplessly. The new school master of the Tian Yao school had suddenly fallen on him. Even he himself had not recovered from the shock, let alone the others. When night fell, Su-yi and Su Tianke left some instructions. Shangguan Su personally led them to a secluded place in the back of the mountain. It was a large area of hidden rock walls. There were many natural caves. The ancestors had installed thick stone doors, which were suitable for seclusion and meditation. This place is very quiet. You can cultivate in seclusion without worry. I'll give the order. No one will disturb you, Shangguan Su said to Su Yi at the entrance of the cave. Very good. Thank you, Elder. Su Yi clasped his hands. It seemed that this place was not bad. It was very quiet and suitable for seclusion. Elder Shangguan Su did not leave immediately. He wanted to say something but hesitated. Looking at Su Yi, he finally mustered his courage and asked, I wonder if you've already obtained the rumored greatest benefit in the Heavenly Monster Cave? I don't know what the rumored greatest benefit in the Heavenly Monster Cave is, but I did obtain some things left behind by the previous school master of the Tian Yao school. After I figure it out, I'll give it to everyone. Su Yi nodded and did not hide anything. Then I wonder what the previous sect master left behind. Elder Shangguan Su's eyes lit up when he heard this. He was very excited. Chapter 295. Then I shall not disturb your seclusion any longer. Goodbye. Elder Shangguan Su was very excited as he bid farewell. The cultivation technique left behind by the previous sect leader would not be simple. After watching Elder Shangguan Su leave, Su Yi put down the stone door and set up a seal. Everything in the cave was simple. There was only a stone platform and the area was quite spacious. It was indeed a good place for seclusion. Sitting cross-legged, Su Yi's expression became somewhat expectant. He formed a seal with his hands and light spread out from between his brows as he summoned the mysterious space. Boom! The mysterious space appeared, and Su Yi was enveloped by it as he appeared in the mysterious space. In an instant, a majestic aura that seemed to have crossed the ancient times and descended, enveloping Su Yi's body. The entire space seemed to ripple with a divine radiance before Su Yi's eyes. It's so spacious. The first thing Su Yi did was to size up the area of the mysterious space. The mysterious space, which was originally 1,000 feet in radius, had expanded to more than double its original size. As far as the eye could see, the area of the mysterious space was not small anymore. Within a radius of 20 to 30,000 feet, he could actually see the rise and fall of mountains. The surroundings were hazy and emitted a faint radiance. However, Su Yi still remembered that when he swallowed the iron-armored demonic rhinoceros's demon pill and broke through to the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm, the energy of heaven and earth in the space was much thinner, but it was still very rich. It was far better than the paradise of the Spirit Ancient Village. At this moment, the energy of heaven and earth was much thinner. However, it was still much richer than the energy of heaven and earth in the outside world. My lord is here. As Su Yi appeared, the language of beasts could be heard from afar. One by one, the barbaric beasts immediately surrounded him. Swoosh, swoosh, 2 tiny golden figures swept out like 2 rays of yellow light and rushed to Su Yi. They immediately landed on Su Yi's shoulders intimately. The 2 yellow figures were none other than Dabeo and Shaoling. The other barbaric beasts were naturally the fire-eyed barbaric tiger, the white jade mystic bird, the golden python, the fiery demon mink, and the fiery barbaric bird that had been cultivating in the mysterious space. Not bad, not bad. Su Yi's gaze swept across the barbaric demonic beasts one by one. As he sensed their auras, a look of astonishment flashed across his eyes. During this period of time, the barbaric demon beasts that had been cultivating in seclusion in the mysterious space had all made breakthroughs based on their auras. In fact, it wasn't just a small breakthrough. 8th level demon spirit realm, 7th level demon spirit realm. Su Yi estimated that the golden python had reached the 8th level of the demon spirit realm, while the fire-eyed barbaric tiger, scarlet flame demon mink, white jade mystic bird and the rest had reached the 7th level of the demon spirit realm. On the other hand, the blazing barbaric bird and the snow jade barbaric ape were slightly weaker. They were only at the sixth stage of the demon spirit realm. The ones that shocked Su-Yi the most were still Debao and Xiao Ling previously. Su-Yi still remembered that Debao and Xiao Ling's aura were at the first level of the demon profound realm. But now they were already at the fourth level of the demon profound realm. The cultivation speed of these two little fellas was absolutely fast. Barbaric demon beasts were different from humans. Barbaric demon beasts were born with powerful physiques or innate talent. Therefore, their cultivation speed was much slower than humans. But now, Debao and Xiao Ling's cultivation speed was even faster than the top geniuses of the human race. Su-Yi remembered that he had only been in the Heavenly Demon Cave for about 2 months since he broke through to the 6th level of the Yuan Profound Realm. But these two little fellas had already reached the 4th level of the Demon Profound Realm from the 1st level of the Demon Profound Realm. Not bad, not bad. Su-Yi rejoiced. Debao, Xiao Ling, the fire-eyed barbaric tiger, the golden python and the rest had all obtained great benefits from the mysterious space. After obtaining the inheritance of the mysterious space, they all became different. If this continued, it wouldn't take long for the golden python, the fire-eyed barbaric tiger and the rest to become experts. In the future, with the mysterious space's magical effects and mysterious origin, this batch of barbaric beasts would be able to become overlords. Soon after, Su-Yi saw the blood jasper spiritual ginseng. The blood jasper spiritual ginseng was still in the same place. Its spiritual roots were stuck into the soil and its body was emitting light. The few leaves on its head were also emitting light and had become even more emerald green. But when Su-Yi thought of his precious spiritual liquid, he went forward to check it out. He realized that the remaining spiritual liquid was only left with a thin layer in the middle of the spiritual liquid pond. However, all in all, the small amount of spirit liquid that remained was still there. The spiritual herbs in the mysterious space were still growing. Radiance filled the air and a medicinal fragrance assailed his nostrils. Su-Yi checked carefully and his face lit up with joy. These herbs had long surpassed the normal level and were still growing. If he could sell them all, he would be able to make a fortune. Also, the elixirs in the mysterious space seemed to have advanced and were constantly improving. During this period of time, the elixirs in his space bag had been used up. There were not many elixirs left in the mysterious space. Su-Yi wanted to sell this batch of herbs, but unfortunately, he couldn't do so here. "Sir, when can we go out?" The golden python, the fire-eyed barbaric tiger and the rest hadn't gone out for a long time. Recently, their cultivation had improved a lot, so they wanted to go out and stretch their bodies. You still have to cultivate in seclusion for a while. When it's time to go out, I'll take you out. Su-Yi was also helpless. It wasn't time for the golden python and the rest to go out. After checking everywhere, Su-Yi frowned. According to the situation, he didn't know how many primeval stones he would need to restore the original rich energy in the mysterious space. Primeval stones. Su-Yi sighed. It seemed that he would have to find a way to obtain some primeval stones. RX Update X New. Most ZV Fast P Tick Up Cool $N Craftsman. #net% only by increasing the density of the energy in this space would one's cultivation speed become faster. Finally, Su-Yi sat cross-legged on the ground. For a while, he didn't know where to take the rest of the Tian Yao school people. Su-Yi could only slowly think about it. However, he could study the ancient Heavenly Fae scripture first. The ancient Heavenly Fae scripture was directly related to the Tian Yao school. Among them, the Savage Scripture, Demon Spirit Insight, and Heavenly Tiger Arts were the cultivation methods of the Wild Bear Tribe, Spirit Ancient Village, and the Tribe of Tiger Hunters. Su-Yi felt that the cultivation methods of the Wild Bear Tribe, Spirit Ancient Village, and the Tribe of Tiger Hunters were different from the cultivation methods of the ancient Heavenly Fae Scripture. The demon spirit insight in the ancient heavenly Fey scripture was obviously much more powerful. Therefore, Sui wanted to study it carefully. If he could understand it thoroughly, just as he had discovered, then he could give the cultivation methods to the spirit ancient village and the others. This could be considered as increasing the strength of the Tian Yao school. Chapter 296. To cultivate the Heaven Fei ancient scripture, one first needed to cultivate the savage scripture, heavenly tiger technique, and demon spirit truth. Sui wanted to first gain insight into the savage scripture, heavenly tiger technique, and demon spirit truth. There were millions of cultivation techniques in the world. Not all cultivation techniques were irreplaceable once cultivated. Some of the powerful legendary cultivation techniques were something that no one would wish to change. And in the process of cultivation, if a warrior's original cultivation technique was of a sufficiently high level, there was naturally no need to change to other cultivation techniques. Even if the other cultivation technique was of a slightly higher level, no warrior would casually change it. Firstly, it required taking a risk. To change a cultivation technique, one needed to disperse their cultivation and start all over again. This was naturally extremely risky. During the process of dispersing one's cultivation, the slightest mistake could result in a cultivation deviation, or even a permanent inability to cultivate. However, for warriors who originally cultivated cultivation techniques of a lower level, if they obtained a higher level cultivation technique, they would most likely take the risk to recultivate it. A higher level cultivation technique was not only much stronger, it also allowed one to go further on the path of cultivation. Generally speaking, if one wanted to rely on a low-grade cultivation technique to become an expert, or if one wanted to use a mortal-grade cultivation technique to become a Yuan spirit realm expert, it would require a miracle. Even if one cultivated a general-grade cultivation technique, wanting to become a Yuan Emperor realm expert was quite difficult. If one cultivated a royal-grade cultivation technique from the beginning, or even the legendary heaven-grade cultivation technique, under the condition that everything went smoothly, stepping into the Yuan Emperor realm, or even higher cultivation levels, was just around the corner. Just like those Fey race cubs with high bloodlines, as long as everything went smoothly, breaking through to the Fey void realm and becoming a member of the Fey race was almost certain. As for those savage beasts with low bloodlines, if they wanted to step into the Fey void realm or above, they could only hope for a miracle. Sui wanted to study the Heaven Fey ancient scripture not because he believed that it was stronger than the primordial chaos supreme technique, nor was it because he wanted to truly cultivate the Heaven Fey ancient scripture. It was not because he wanted to replace the primordial chaos supreme technique with the Heaven Fey ancient scripture. Sui knew very well that the primordial chaos supreme technique was his foundation. He felt that the primordial chaos supreme technique was even stronger than the powerful Heaven Fey ancient scripture. At the very least, the reason why he was unable to store Yuan Qi back then was because the mysterious space in his mind had secretly absorbed Yuan Qi, rendering his cultivation ineffective. As for the primordial chaos supreme technique, it came from the mysterious space. This was the first time he had heard of a cultivation technique that required the absorption of Yuan Qi. Now, Sui was somewhat worried. It was a pity that he could not cultivate in it. The Heaven Fey ancient scripture's powerful techniques, especially the phenomenon of myriad Fey, seemed to be tailor-made for him. If he could not cultivate it, it would be a pity if he could not cultivate it. But to choose to give up on the primordial chaos supreme technique and focus on cultivating the Heaven Fey ancient sutra for the phenomenon of 10,000 Fey, ignoring the risks involved, it was also unlikely. There was primordial chaos supreme techniques Fey ancient scripture without cultivating's ancient scripture to Fey enlightenments. Phenomenon of heavenly Fey, phenomenon of myriad beasts, phenomenon of myriad beasts, phenomenon of creation, heaven, earth, and man. Soon, Sui began studying the Heaven Fei ancient scripture. He began with the savage scripture and carefully studied it. However, the more he studied it, the more alarmed Sui became. Just the savage scripture in the Heaven Fei ancient scripture was already extremely powerful. It was even more powerful than he had imagined. The savage scripture focused on strength. Strength could destroy all dharma, and it was all-encompassing. It definitely did not rely on ordinary brute force. It was extremely profound. The heavenly tiger art was based on force. It could rely on force to suppress the ancient times and crush all enemies like crushing dry weed. The Fei spirit quintessence focused on spirit. It could use the soul to guide the might of myriad beasts. When an attack contained a soul attack, it could borrow the might of myriad beasts. Strangeness and might would coexist as it swept through the area. Although the Fei spirit quintessence focused on cultivating the soul, it could be cultivated by a pure warrior. If a soul controller, alchemist, or blacksmith cultivated it, the effects would be like adding wings to a tiger. Time slowly passed as Sui immersed himself in his studies. The more he studied, the more astounded he was. #starter, his name is Sui. He has already obtained the greatest benefit from the heavenly Fei grotto. He is the new sect master of the Tian Yao school. Is this true? The next day, several senior leaders of the wild bear tribe and the tribe of tiger hunters found Elder Shangguan Su early in the morning to inquire about the matter. The only remaining elder of the tribe of tiger hunters was called Elder Hu Bu. The only remaining elder of the wild bear tribe was Elder Xiong Lu. They were shocked when they learned of the situation from Hu Qi, Xiongzhan, and the others. That's right. Elder Shangguan Su nodded and informed everyone that Sui had entered seclusion, and what Sui had obtained from the heavenly Fei grotto was a cultivation technique left behind by the previous sect master. What kind of cultivation technique is it? Is there only a cultivation technique? Everyone discussed and guessed that it was left behind by the previous sect master of the Tian Yao school. They wondered if there were any rumored Dharma artifacts or sacred artifacts. If there were, they would be precious treasures. We don't know anything yet. We have to wait until he comes out of seclusion to know. Shangguan Su shook his head. He still didn't know what kind of cultivation technique it was, and he didn't know if there were any doctrine artifacts or even sacred artifacts. Is the position of sect master real? Elder Xiong Lu and Elder Hu Bu were hesitating. They were the only remaining elders of the tribe of tiger hunters and the wild bear tribe. They didn't dare to be careless in this matter. Although they already knew about the Tian Yao school and the new sect master on the day they left, they couldn't be sure that the new sect master was Sui. Moreover, Sui was an outsider. This matter should be true. We are the only remaining members of the Tian Yao school, Elder Shangguan Su said. Elder Shangguan Su said. He had gotten the news from Shangguan Shiwei and Shangguan Yin. This news should not be wrong. Let's make a conclusion after we understand it in detail. In the end, Elder Xiong Lu and Elder Hu Bu left to wait for Sui to come out of seclusion. They had many questions to ask Sui. Time passed quickly, and a few days passed in the blink of an eye. Sui, who was in seclusion in the cave, was deeply shocked. He studied the Savage Sutra, Heavenly Tiger Technique, and Demon Spirit Truth for several days. Phew! Suddenly, Sui opened his eyes. There was a flash of light in his eyes, and his face was full of shock. The Heavenly Tiger Technique is the force, and the force is the heavens. The Savage Sutra is the force, and the force is the earth. The Demon Spirit Truth is the spirit, and the spirit is the man. The heavens are the force, and the force originates from the earth. The Heavenly Tiger Technique originates from the heavens. Sui was shocked as he muttered to himself. The Heavenly Fei ancient scripture was extremely profound and could shock the world. Even the Savage Sutra, Demon Spirit Truth, and Heavenly Tiger technique were all powerful in their own way. Do I really need to disperse my cultivation and change my cultivation? Sui wondered. He always felt that he didn't need to disperse his cultivation to cultivate everything in the Heavenly Fae ancient scripture. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.